It's time for the crossover powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com.
Good job. Good job. Josh is just hitting buttons now. All right, here we go. We're here. Yeah, crossover, every level.
You think it's tougher to walk and chew gum or to walk and rap like Ice Cube? Game 2 of the World Series Saturday night.
I don't think it's hard to do either.
There's my Connor Happer.
I could walk and rap.
Oh, Harold Reynolds.
Now, we might have to have a clarification.
I can walk and rap.
Yeah.
What do you
Just
mean?
like you can kick a 40-yard field goal.
Yeah. I
haven't proven that, by the way.
No. It's too windy.
Well, kickers have to deal with wind, too.
Did you not see the wind at Ohio Stadium? Do you think John Hull used that as an excuse?
John
when they said,
Hull.
hey, we're going to trot you out there.
Oh, yeah, that was the best.
John Hull when he made a field goal.
And
Nebraska got some Gus guys.
How about John Hull?
That's like one of his biggest moments in his athletic career, and the Gusgasm went all over it.
I literally laughed at the man.
John Hull.
Can you believe it?
And Nate Borica.
No, what was it Saturday? It was something different. It was
I think it was I thought it was
should have just
again.
gone with Nate.
Bo Kirker, maybe?
Oh.
I think it was Bo Kirker.
Oh, Nate Bo Kirker.
And then they went to break because it was the 2-point conversion. And he probably stopped, and Joel was probably you're over 2.
My favorite part, my favorite Gus part on Saturday was when they went 30 seconds until Joe Klatt realized that they got the spot completely wrong and the third down should have been first down. And Joel was like, hey, Gus, just hold on a second. What the hell is going on here? Gus is like, I don't know. I can't see anything.
Yeah.
The business side internet that was going down.
It's the whole internet, Gary. There is no just business side.
I don't know how
internet.
anything works.
What the hell is going on?
You know that as well as everybody else. There's no business side internet.
So I got a plan for us to get out of radio and make a lot of money. I'm going to share it with you in just a moment.
Podcasts?
No, those are yesterday.
Oh, really?
Okay.
But to you and I, they put money in our pockets. So podcasts are great.
I was told yeah.
Yep. So I got a text from a friend that was at the Creighton game Saturday night.
Oh, God.
So I think he has you confused with your persona you have at Warner Park compared to the persona you're supposed to have at a Creighton basketball game.
Was I different? What was it?
Because it was his kid's birthday, and he said, hey, can you tell Connor to come up to, and he was in the second level, and sing happy birthday on camera?
Well, we don't have a Valentino's birthday village.
Can Blue Jay Live do that?
And so I said, I don't think that's part of the script. And he goes, well, he goes, we always go out to Warner Park for about 10 games a year, and I see him wishing happy birthday, but his son, who I'll leave his name out,
he's 37 years old.
His birthday is in late October.
That's awesome, first of all. And I will say this, there are some open areas in the scripts, especially during the early season, where the opponents will be lacking some pop.
Why are you talking about DePaul like that?
There is some open Connor time.
So we could freelance.
Maybe a little bit. I would have to run it up the right flagpole, but maybe.
What if we let your listeners come up with a key phrase before every Creighton home basketball game that you will slip in? It has to be
like a
bangarang,
but not a bangarang, but like a bangarang.
I can't guarantee that I'll do it, but let's play.
Okay.
No, then why do we even have it if you can't
Great
guarantee
question.
anything?
You just sprung this upon me.
I think this is a great bit.
How am I supposed to guarantee it? How am I supposed to guarantee that? I can't.
You
say
have
some
control of the
things.
mic and the voice.
Okay, but like there has to be some parameters. Like I can't say the F word.
No, yeah, that people get.
Well,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
It'll be PG, maybe 13.
All right, whatever.
All right, so I think this is what we could do. Okay, so we'll do this before next week's home game.
Lot of me time at the Jays games.
No, let's just take you're a whore. Okay.
Like if I said you got to get in Jeepers Nelly.
Yeah, you
could
are
say Jeepers Nelly.
You are a male whore for emceeing and hosting and PAing.
That's right.
That's okay.
I like being on air more than I like breathing air.
Exactly.
Ooh,
and I think that
should be on a shirt.
because of what you do for America and especially the Omaha community and Lincoln, that maybe that word that has a negative connotation will be okay. A new addition to the Happer family. You got to feed someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm appreciative.
Then you got to be everywhere.
I'm appreciative that many in this community have asked me to help with their game operations, to help their already existing lovely game operations be taken to the next level. If that's what they feel like,
I like it.
I can bring.
You bring a presence.
Maybe.
After hearing about your display on Saturday night, I went to get my car washed at Russell Speeders on Sunday. I thought you were going to be inside the car wash to greet me as well.
Yeah. Hey, that airport's still looking for people to do their voiceovers. I got them.
Yep. That would be good.
All right. Now I have ways to make some money. Okay, Josh? Are we fighting through it?
I think we're back.
Tentatively, yes.
Looks like, yeah. I
We're
see things are functioning.
We're a little blurry.
It's a little slow moving, kind of.
Yeah, but we're
Looks like the batteries
it's
are
just
taking.
the business.
This idea came to me Saturday night, and I think this is the greatest idea. And if you guys would like in on the ground floor, I can send you my business model.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
You and we always have, hey, where should we go for dinner? I'm going to make an app where you and your wife can
Tinder.
swipe.
Yeah.
It's going to be Tinder for date night on what restaurant you're going to go to.
I like this.
And then once you match, that's where you're going.
That's a great idea.
Because I think we waste so much time in relationships trying to decide, well, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Not if you just pick a place.
Well, but
just pick a place.
It's never that easy.
Because
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Just get in your car and start driving.
Do you want to go to Cane's? Is there another? I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the deal: you got to lay down the law, because if you're around somebody that's like
lay down the law.
Well, if the other person's waffling and they're like, well, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, you just take them. They don't get a choice anymore.
Oh, this is what I love though. Is the
well,
I don't care. I don't care.
Just make at all.
I hate I don't care. Just make a decision. I'll go wherever. Okay, I want to go here. No, I don't want to go there.
See, that's why
you can't do that.
So that's why we're going to have this app.
Mhm.
Okay, and you can swipe left or swipe right, and once there's a first match, boom, that's where you're going.
I
like this.
I always fear no, I'm fine. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel fine.
Yeah.
From this side.
Yeah. That's fine. Whatever.
We did that.
Okay. I feel like your dinner is not going to be satisfactory.
They have that for baby names,
I've heard this.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's where we got our daughter's name.
Didn't we talk about? I thought we don't talk about this. Yeah. You can land on names, and all of a sudden you
But I
both
didn't know
agree
that
on it.
You used this.
Oh yeah, we used it. I don't know. I think that was where we got it. I think that was where we got it. We had a list of names that we both
I wanted
said yes
something like,
to.
you know what? Our great-great-grandmother who was in World War II
No, it's not that.
and provided assistance to
It's made up.
to the people that, are at Pearl Harbor. We are using her name. I wanted something like that. You're telling me you got your daughter's name off an app?
That it wasn't a namesake of someone in your family.
We weren't gonna name her like Josephine or like nothing against people her name. Although that was one of my
Esther.
That was one of my wife's favorites, and I was like, I just don't.
Her favorite was Josephine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
Would you shorten it to Joe
or Josie or something like that? And I was just like, I don't know.
Josie.
Yeah, Josie.
I was like, I don't know. I just don't like it.
You know what?
And so that's when we started down the whole app track. The old app track.
Esther.
I think you might want to revisit this because I think Josie would be a very successful name.
I think it's too late to revisit it. I believe the paperwork's been filed.
That might create some complications.
3 months.
That's how long you have, right?
No, it's been.
Oh, you've had
she's 3 months.
That's a quarter of a year.
All right.
Yeah, it's too long.
Thank you.
It's too long.
I got you.
too long. You can't rename her.
Oh,
It's been 3
okay.
months.
He said 3 months is too long.
Once we got her,
You guys
on
are
the
getting
birth certificate.
You guys are
it's
getting a
over.
little like bored. You want Uncle Gary to come on over? Uncle Gary will watch.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
a
might
good
take
baby-
you up on that.
I'm a good babysitter.
Interesting.
What would you? Excuse me.
If you could just sit around and watch a baby for a little while.
Yeah.
This is the
Do
best.
all the things that a baby needs to have done.
Yeah, this is the best time to watch a baby. Actually,
Yeah,
don't do
she
a
doesn't
lot.
really do anything.
They just don't do
She's
much.
not mobile. She's not verbal.
A lot of naps.
Yeah.
Well, but it'd be like
She gets a little upset sometimes when she, like doesn't really understand her surroundings.
She's got jazz hands.
Yeah, she flies her hands
Yeah.
around everywhere. She's starting to
Yeah.
understand her hands
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Okay.
Which is good.
Do we need to revisit doing a modern version of Look Who's Talking?
What do you mean?
Ooh.
What's that?
Yeah, back in the day, the movie Look Who's Talking, where the baby Bruce Willis's voice,
Mhm.
essentially that was the baby's thoughts.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's like he was talking, but it was just a baby.
And then John Travolta
Yeah.
and Kirstie Alley fell in love in the
Yeah.
real world.
That is a great premise for a movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we should redo that.
And
We
then
need a
there
new
was
one.
a sequel where they had
Look
a
Who's Talking
sister with Roseanne
Oh,
Barr.
God, it was Roseanne Barr. You're
was
right.
the voice of the dog. And then there was a third one where they went into the thoughts of the pets, and
Yeah.
that was just a terrible
It
idea.
started spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
We could maybe are we
High
removing that
concept.
from the original that we could bring it back?
What's your favorite high concept movie?
Ooh.
What's your favorite? Like, this is a situation where it's like a
Uh,
normal world, but one thing, like, a guy can read everyone's mind or something like that.
Yeah.
There's that one movie where, well,
Is
Well, Jim Carrey.
Inception or Memento or
Oh,
these high
yeah.
concept
Oh, yeah.
movies?
yeah, kind of.
What about Powder?
Powder? What happens in
Powder intrigues me. The little albino kid
Yeah.
that he has to stay away from electrical storms.
Is it Jeff
oh,
Goldblum?
yeah.
oh,
Powder was very intriguing.
there is a movie where if you touch one person,
Yes.
something happens.
Yes.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
that.
The powers.
My favorite high concept movie is where the entire world is exactly the same as it is, except for everyone forgot that the Beatles existed. That's my
Oh.
that's my favorite
Yeah.
concept movie of all time. And then there's one guy who remembers the Beatles.
yeah.
And he is responsible.
That's pretty good.
He is
Mhm.
responsible for teaching the world about the Beatles. Again, that is a hell of a movie.
That is good.
I want that. I want to watch that movie again. It's called Yesterday.
Okay.
I think we have two concepts here that
I think
We
we,
might
saw
be
that
able to-
actually.
we might
I
be able to make
saw
some
It's a
that.
money.
good movie.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
I
okay,
liked
yeah.
it. I like
Yeah.
there's a love story wrapped in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, there is. Yeah.
It's
a
kind of a
rom-com.
rom-com. Yeah,
It's a rom com.
I'd go watch it.
it's a good movie.
It'd be a good movie. I think that's one that goes to the theater. Doesn't go to a streamer.
Yeah,
Which,
it
by
was
the
a
way, did you
different
see how
Have to be a
quickly
date night
Joker
movie.
got onto
Yeah.
streaming?
Already.
What's that?
Joker, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that
and then
movie
it's on
sucked, I heard.
Peacock here shortly, right?
Yeah, that didn't last long.
Wow. Has it even been out a month?
No, it hasn't.
No, the minimum is 17 days
Oh,
that it has to be in
wow.
theaters.
That's awful.
So
So disappointing.
and so the problem with that was it was a musical.
It was a musical.
But
I
apparently
believe
a
the
poorly
problem-
done musical
I believe
too.
the problem is that they did not really tell anyone
Nope.
on the front end.
Exactly.
This is
It
a
was false
musical.
advertising,
Exactly.
or at least
I was-
misleading the consumer.
Now,
I was 30 minutes away from going until someone said, well, it's a musical. And I'm like, excuse me?
so there's a conspiracy theory out there that I kind of believe
Hmm?
about Joker 2. Too many people worshipped the Joker in the original movie with Joaquin Phoenix.
yeah.
Like the wrong kind of people and all that
Yeah.
that implies.
Yeah.
So they made a bad movie on purpose so that people would not think that
Get
that
off
guy's
their
But all of a
cool
sudden, okay, so it
anymore.
was smoke screen. Be like, yeah, this guy ain't
Yeah.
that cool.
Oh.
Now he's a sing songer.
Mhm.
maybe that's what Marcus Satterfield.
He's
Tanking
still employed.
He's sandbagging Satty.
Maybe what they should-
Sorry, I had to
Maybe
go
what they
there.
should have done for Joker 2 is what was De Niro's character's name?
Murray.
Murray.
Oh, the host,
They should have done the
Yeah.
origin story of Murray, and then
and then his unfortunate finale.
exactly,
Yeah,
it all collides at the
Why?
end.
Why
You
won't
feel really bad for Murray and makes the Joker the bad guy.
but then you find out that Murray wasn't a great dude.
Hey,
no,
No.
Murray was great.
Murray did get what he deserved.
Yeah, exactly.
but
Then it's like,
I don't
oh,
think people made it. That needs to be a bigger storyline. That Robert De Niro in a movie got murdered.
Shot
On live-
television.
on
Yeah,
live
on live
television,
television.
Yeah.
It happens
Yeah.
a lot in the movies that Robert De Niro's in.
okay, like it in
That's true.
society.
That's true.
That's true. Okay.
But yeah, it was jarring. I didn't expect it.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't
for
either.
sure.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like, oh, that's okay.
So I
The
had
music building.
a.
What's it building to?
Yeah.
Oh God.
We've
That
had
can't.
discussions on the show about how DoorDash has killed America.
Mhm.
Yes.
I got some validation the other day.
Oh.
that it has.
There is one particular place where it is very popular to either go through the drive-through or do like food pickup. It is called Chipotle. I believe it's called
Oh,
Chipotle.
gosh, we got to go here again.
So I went in there the other day to pick something up to eat. I went to eat. And you would have thought that I was a ghost when I walked up and wanted to order from the
That's
counter.
right. They don't care about you.
I wonder if you went to the one that I.
So
Yeah.
this kid was like, he's like, oh man, he goes, you're the first person that's come in the door in like an hour and a half.
Oh, so he acknowledged
He
it.
goes, they've been busy. He goes, but you came in the door. And I said, why don't people do that of all places? Because you guys cheat. You guys cheat people on the bowls.
Did you say
You
that?
don't. Yeah, I said that. I said the only way to make
Nice.
sure that you don't cheat, and not particularly you, is you got to come in and we got to be face to face.
That's right.
And so he kind of laughed.
Make it in front of me.
Yeah. He goes, you are one of the rare people that have come in here today. We've been busy, drive through, but people don't come into the restaurant anymore.
Yeah. That's
And I'm
not
like,
surprising. Children.
At your place, we need to come in.
How long did it take for you to get your
Oh, it was
food?
quick.
Oh,
They
okay.
were like so excited.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay,
I
so
thought I
they're
was
actually
going to get some chips and queso.
Okay, well, they were looking forward to it. That was not my experience the last time I went to Chipotle when I was waiting in line with, there were more people, and it was all about the DoorDash orders. And people, one lady had literally said to another person that was waiting, goes, yeah, my order, I was told it was ready to pick up in 45 minutes ago. She got there and she had to wait an additional 45 minutes when she was told her order was ready. And I'm like, if that's the case, I've got no shot. So I left. So I got no shot because my wife had ordered it online or on the app. And so when I got the thing of picking up, I showed up on my time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they look like they're running a little bit behind. But when she said 45 minutes, I'm like, I got no shot.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad out there. It's tough times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I'm glad that they embraced that, though.
They love the face-to-face.
I'm glad that they did. It's good to know. Because I just figured that.
I mean, there's some places that shut, even post-COVID, shut down their in dining.
Yep.
And they're just a drive-through place.
The Wendy's by our house, I don't think opened until like 2 years after COVID.
No, really?
And I don't mean like 2 years after the start of COVID.
Yeah.
I mean like 2 years after like the world opened up.
So you just drive by and you just see chairs on top of tables.
Chairs on top of tables,
Yep.
line wrapped literally around the building.
Yep.
People, so it is Monday and it's just after 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
So we're getting some correspondences about 4-quarter pick'em.
It worked just fine.
It works. That seems to be good.
Okay.
But it does seem that
Oh, no.
there is an option to choose a winner for the Wisconsin-Nebraska game when they don't play each other this week.
That's called a future.
It'll be Wisconsin and Iowa.
I like our game includes futures.
Yeah.
If you guys are so good at picking games,
But-
you should be able to pick a game 3 weeks from
So
now.
I think
2
we'll
weeks
have
from now.
to probably adjust that. But right now,
Okay.
I would pick it as Wisconsin, Iowa.
Okay.
So Nebraska
Okay.
is Iowa. In the
Whoa.
Oh.
Nebraska is
Are you
Iowa.
sure you want to say that?
I
You
just
said it out loud.
I
Nebraska
just want
is Iowa.
people to get their picks right. That's all.
Hmm.
I just want people to win. We have our winner. Did you hear? Now I don't want to say our name, the name of the winner. Not
embargoed.
not going to announce it. But I will tell you that our winner went undefeated this week.
I saw
Again,
that.
second week in a row.
10-0.
Gary, this is a conversation we ended with on the statues, by the way.
I've lived in both states, by the way. That's not true. What you said.
Nebraska is Iowa.
Nebraska is Iowa.
I really forgot to mention the worst out of between Ronaldo and Dwayne Wade. I forgot how bad the Brandy Chastain one is. The Brandy Chastain bust.
A lot of bad
is-
statues out there, guys.
It's really bad.
You got to lower your expectations on statues.
But
They made her look like Bill Belichick.
But here's the thing: it just makes you think that it's just impossible to do a good statue.
But sports statues.
This is-
Like I was, so there's a Gale Sayers one outside of the entrance to the football stadium at Central.
Yes,
That is well done. It looks close to Gale.
I'd say
is that really Brandy Chastain?
that is not
That's
Brandy
so
Chastain. I forgot about that one.
Does she part her hair in the middle?
Apparently that was a thing, maybe.
She did. Yeah, she did, I guess. But that she definitely looks like
Looks like Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick a little bit. Yeah.
Well, they can use that for
Sports,
The- the
sports
key
statues
here-
are not good.
Like what you have to do is you have to have this like really definitive quality. So for soccer players, for basketball players, it's really hard because they're not wearing helmets.
Yeah.
You know, for George Brett, nobody cares how George Brett looks in the face. He's wearing a batting helmet and he's wearing and he has his iconic stance.
Yeah, you got the stance.
And
yeah.
he's
Is there a lot
got
of pine tar on
he's
there?
got a bat in his hands. You can tell that's George Brett. You know, for Dwayne Wade, he just looks like a guy. You know, It's
He looks like Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, that was.
That's what he looks like.
Gary's spot on. He definitely
Lawrence
looks like
Fishburne
Morpheus.
with a Miami Heat number 3 jersey on.
Yep.
But imagine,
Trey's dad from Boys in the Hood.
Like, I like that whoever was filming had like the ISO on Dwayne Wade's reaction, because I'm sure though that he had to see it before it was unveiled. Like at least
Right.
the drawings,
maybe,
but not the finished.
I don't know. His face was kind of like, ugh.
I mean, he even said in the speech, "Who is that?"
Yeah, who the hell?
That's a tough look.
Which basically means that Mickey, the owner of the Heat, they're gonna have to replace.
What if
that.
you're a sculptor and you've been waiting your entire life to get commissioned a statue, and then the guy who is depicted in the statue is like, "Yeah, that don't look like me." In the speech,
Yeah, the person's got to like.
I'm looking at this Brandy Chastain one.
Isn't that awful?
It does
That might be the
look like
worst. I thought the Ronaldo one was the worst. That's
it
the
does look
worst.
like Bill Belichick.
It's Bill Belichick.
Yikes.
I don't know what happened there. Well, now I was telling Gary about it.
Not good.
Then we also remembered the artist depictions of like courtroom sketches, and then they showed the Tom Brady one.
Yeah.
That one where like, God, Tom Brady's got some major facial deformities. Oh my Lord, poor guy.
Yeah, it's called Too High Cheekbones.
He had some work done. Everyone knows that.
You don't say.
Everyone knows that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey,
The Dwayne Wade.
it's bowl eligibility week. We're finally here. It's time.
China Buffet Saturday,
Beat
guys.
you at the
Hey.
Grand
Yeah.
China Buffet.
I got a cigar, 6 o'clock to get 6 on Saturday.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At 6, they'll have 6.
And if they don't win, which I don't know, if they
Not
might
our
have-
fault. We're
then
not.
There's
not
still
scheming up the offense.
3 more chances after that.
Mhm.
3 more chances.
But you know what that would make?
Nebraska's going to a bowl game.
Do you know that if it doesn't happen on Saturday, going into a bye week, Mr. Happer,
That would not be fun.
do you know what that would make Matt Rhule when he has a chance to become bowl eligible?
A Creighton basketball fan, probably. He would probably just start talking about Creighton basketball like we're going to do on this show during that time if Nebraska loses.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
quick.
No.
Mhm.
What would that be? 0-6 then, with the chance to get bowl eligible.
That would not be good.
Nebraska's now 0-6.
Oh, and 6.
I
now.
did not
It'll
want
be
to
0-7.
live in that world.
Could you actually imagine this team going into the bye week, another bye week after losing your most winnable game
I would not want to live in that world.
fail to get bowl eligible again,
Oh, I can imagine.
Hold on.
and then have to sit on that for 2 weeks?
They're 0-7 in games where they can be bowl eligible.
I thought
With
this-
Rule?
Oh, with Rule?
Yeah, with
So
Rule.
that's
I'm
Frost.
sorry,
Frost
sorry.
had 1
Yeah,
game.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, so
Iowa.
they've lost 7 in a row when they have a chance to get bowl eligible.
Ouch.
Yep.
Ouch.
Should there be
It all
further discussion
changes on
about
Saturday.
how you can coach here for 5 years and only have one time where you were on the cusp of bowl eligibility?
Interesting way to frame it, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah. You just needed more time. Just needed that Akron
You mean
game.
the past
might be
and
onto something.
the past and future coach of UCF?
I'm promoting.
It'd be great
If
for them.
UCF gets rid of the Gus bus, they got to bring back Frost.
Yep.
It'd be a great scenario for him.
Mhm.
Go back where you had the greatest success and never leave Orlando.
The
And
people,
and
the people
love
there
him.
would love it.
People love him.
Absolutely.
Oh, he'd be in that, and then he would be in the Big 12.
And he'd be back in his home. He could go
Yeah.
back to relative anonymity. He could go to Publix
He
and
could-
get a pub
he could
sub,
talk
and
to-
nobody bother him.
He could go golfing.
He could talk to
Yeah.
Mike, whatever the guy's name is, who love to.
Oh,
rip on him,
Bianco.
yeah, Bianco. He could, him and
Mike
Bianchi.
Bianchi.
Him
Bianchi.
and Bianchi could be boys again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be back coaching in Mickey's house,
Gosh.
the Mouse House.
It all sounds so good. The bounce house. Yeah.
The bounce house. That would be cool.
They could have funny, goofy jerseys. So you could put area codes in the front of their helmets again.
Maybe the
It'd be
occasional
ideal.
Nebraska fan would show up wearing a Husker 7
It'd be-
jersey. to
Ah.
watch.
It'd be ideal, and every Nebraska fan would look to see if there's any Big 10 versus Big 12 bowl matchups.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Nebraska
Where's the Alamo Bowl? Who's in the Alamo Bowl? Is the Big Ten still in the Alamo Bowl?
and Central Florida.
I don't think so.
The Big Ten's not with the Alamo Bowl anymore?
Not anymore.
Which is too bad.
Nebraska's in the Alamo Bowl against many Big Ten teams.
Yes, they were. Michigan, Nebraska.
The
I was there.
guarantee
Northwestern?
I'm sorry. The
Yep, true.
rate bowl is Big 10 versus Big 12
Ah,
this year.
In Scott Frost's second home of Phoenix.
Yes. Where
How
he will
fitting.
not give up that property. It'll always be there.
Do it, cowards! I dare you.
Yeah, you got to hire that guy.
First, you got to fire a guy,
No.
and then hire him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we'd like to play that a little bit right now.
Looks like the Ghostbusters is out of gas.
People are getting fired or all around the country. you know?
Rice.
We could fire. Yeah, the Rice guy got fired.
Mike,
Mr. Blumgren.
very nice guy. Met him at a basketball game one time. Just wasn't going to work there.
Speaking of which, Luke McCaffrey had a good catch against the Bears yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go Bears.
Mhm.
There were a couple good catches.
Boy, you were I've never seen Connor as giddy as he was about my
I just thought
My
about
depression.
you. I thought about you this morning. I said, "Oh, Nick.
yeah.
Oh,
How
Nick.
awesome
Oh,
was that
honey."
play, though?
I mean, it was awesome because the guy was running
Yeah.
around,
Oh, bye-bye. Oh, God, wait, what am I supposed to do? I want to find out today from Eberflus that
Doubly
it was
bad.
his
It
assignment.
was.
It was.
So Ben Solak wrote this down.
So it was supposed to be him?
Uh-huh.
So that is that was basically supposed to be either the guy he was supposed to be attached to, or he was supposed to be the tip back.
Yeah,
like,
there
defender.
needed to be the tip back defender.
Yeah.
The fact that all 5 defenders for Chicago go up for the tip tells you all you need to know about the operation.
I think it
there,
was
too.
his fault. I think it was his fault.
Yeah, he needs to be suspended. No, he does. He needs to be
He should
suspended,
be-
fined.
Yeah.
That's conduct detrimental to the team right there.
It is.
Losing
You
a game on a
jackass.
Hail Mary, that's sticking the knife in, and then the player messing around before
Yeah.
they get twisting the
You
knife.
jackass, what are you doing?
Jackass.
Quick little game here. Florida man, Nebraska man, or none of the above. I'm going to tell you a little story of something that happened.
All right.
Police arrested a man for allegedly assaulting a healthcare worker and officers. Police said the man who told officers he ate meth, grabbed a pregnant healthcare worker, and then tried to take a stun gun and firearm for 2 officers.
Florida.
Florida man, Nebraska man, or none of the
It's
above.
either
Florida man or Ohio man?
It's either Florida or Lincoln.
I'm going to say Florida man.
Because you asked, I will say Nebraska.
Florida man.
Florida seems too on the nose. Seems obvious.
It would be a guy named Robert Baker Jr., age 46, in Norfolk, Nebraska.
Oh, wow. Huge upset.
Not in Norfolk. Come on now.
Huge upset. That guy
Jeez.
had Lincoln written all over him. Right?
Big crime town vibes.
That did.
Hey, probably I know why you didn't go Florida, because meth is not right now the drug of choice in Florida.
And they're definitely not eating it anymore.
Yeah, that was a thing of the past.
No, they saved that for Ohio. All right, have a great crossover,
That
guys.
is, well, we had a great crossover. We're going to have a great show.
Mhm.
That's the crossover powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Oddson with you. Josh Oddson, Husker Homer. No
That's right.
longer Husker hater. Josh Oddson, Husker Homer.
That's right. Believe in something.
People very much enjoyed your prediction. And as you texted me after the game ended on Saturday, maybe for the best for all of the listeners to this show, including myself, that Nebraska didn't actually win, because you wouldn't have been able to tell Josh Oddson anything.
Yeah.
It would have been detrimental in the long run.
Between now and the end of time, I would have brought it up. Remember that time Josh Peterson said the Super Bowl would go to overtime?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
this one was out of nowhere.
More obnoxious.
It'd be better because this one was more out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And because Josh had been predicting that for years, right?
Right.
These days it's going to go to this just came out of nowhere.
It's going to hit.
I had no idea that this was coming.
Yeah. I feel like you guys handled it about as well as you could have. I didn't really prepare you for it in any way other than I have recorded my prediction and I would like you to play it on the air.
I figured that's the direction you were going, but yeah, you went for it. Good job by you. Also, send that in as your WWE audition tape.
Yeah, I think I'm going to send it to McAfee and see if I can get in that way.
Yeah, nice. Good job.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll miss you around here.
Well, I'll remember you guys.
All right. Today in the show, we will talk about Nebraska's loss to Ohio State, not win, as Josh predicted. Everybody else predicted a loss. Josh somehow found a way to be the only wrong person. But was he really wrong?
Interesting concept.
We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Mike Schaefer will join the show at 11:30. Sam McKewon at 1. Matt Rhule's Monday press conference coming up at noon today. That is a lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. The Rooferees, better than actual officials. I am disrespecting officials today. I have created a ref log. All right.
I'm very intrigued by this.
I'm mad.
What?
I'm not over this yet. Rewatch that game and it gets worse every time.
I big in 60 that they glossed right over the officiating.
Well, see, that's the problem. If you big in 60, it doesn't do anything for you. And also, if you're watching in real time and you're looking from analysis from Gus Johnson, he probably didn't notice that anything was happening either.
I did know. Big in 60, you can tell he can't see a thing.
Yeah.
He's watching TV. He's watching TV.
They give him that nice close view, though, for field goals, though, which gave him the opportunity to let a nice little Gus gasm out on a John Hull 54-yarder before halftime.
He laughed at them.
So I have a likely non-exhaustive ref log. I wonder how the officials graded out on Saturday. We'll talk about that. I also have prepared a screen log. We're logging screens.
There's a lot of logging to do.
Screen log, Josh. It was not good.
Game on the line. Screenplay.
We'll have big picture thoughts, small picture thoughts on Nebraska and Ohio State. Dylon running around a little bit. What it means for the rest of the season. How the narrative's already out there about Indiana. Oh my God, Indiana must be 100 points better than Ohio State. Put some respect on Indiana's name. Why does the AP sound like
Mickey Mouse?
Mickey Mouse? I have no idea, but it's the way it goes. Good start to the World Series over the weekend, although a scary moment in game 2, but Ohtani is alive and well and should be in the lineup tonight as Yankees-Dodgers game 3. This could be baseball's magnum opus tonight. Will it outrate?
I'm intrigued by your thought on this.
Will it outrate Monday Night Football?
Giants, Steelers, probably not. Well,
it's gonna be close.
Yeah.
It's gonna be close.
I know where
if it was
my
a
eyes
1-1
will be.
series, I'd predict it. If it's 2-0 the way it is right now, I don't know. And of course, Josh is excited for his boy Freddie Freeman, who officially belongs to Los Angeles now.
Yeah, I'm sad but elated for him at the same time.
AKA Kirk Gibson. I mean, he must have hit that ball no more than 10 to 15 feet away from where Kirk Gibson hit it in 88. I mean, like no more than that.
Has-
And apparently it happened at the exact same time of day.
Oh,
Now,
really?
I don't know. I can't verify that information because I don't have enough time on my hands to do that.
Sure,
But
you're
I
logging
s-
refs and
I
stuff.
saw that tweet going around and I was like, that can't be right. But I said it on air, so I don't know. Maybe it's true.
Has any man been more ready for a moment than Joe Davis?
Holy smokes.
Let me
the moment, the reference to Gibson.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
that
did the same
nuts.
call. The same call.
Yeah. That is nuts. Nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Davis rules. That guy's in.
Mm-hmm. Keep
There's-
that guy.
There's still a part of me, watch a World Series as a child, and you're like, yeah, Joe Buck is still my guy. But and I know that sounds weird to some people, but I really like Joe Buck on baseball.
Mhm. He's very good.
But yeah, Joe Davis kind of rules. That was pretty dang good. Ohio State has entered existential crisis mode. Nebraska has forced this upon them,
Look
which
at
is
that. We did that.
awesome. Also, new Jameis Winston drops, folks.
Hello.
Jameis Winston is back. He beats the Baltimore Ravens, and he is dropping bars all over your television.
And we got him.
And we got him for you on today's show. Want to hear from you? 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number, tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. We say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. What's up, brother? Josh is back. We're looking good. We're not being filmed off of a Razor flip phone from 2004 anymore.
3.5 hours to go, Connor. Don't jinx it.
You can join us 1620 The Zone TV on YouTube or on zonetv.live. Let's talk about refs. I'm talking about refs today. I don't usually like to do this stuff.
Yeah, normally you gloss over that. You're like, guys,
It's
you gotta play
blah,
within
blah,
the game or whatever.
That was bad.
Mm.
It got people to the point. Now, this is where I will not go. It got people to the point of saying, is something nefarious going on here? Did you see there was a Steve Sipple tweet during the game?
It's like a holiday.
It'll live in history. So I'm gonna find it for you real quick. Here it is. This is during the Emmett Johnson first down, no first down thing, which we'll break down in a second before halftime. Sipple writes, when an official misses a call so badly, not giving Nebraska a first down on Emmett Johnson's run, you can't help but wonder if there's some sort of foul play going on.
Whoa. That's stuff for boneheads like us to say. The scribes don't ever say stuff like that.
He's just wondering out loud. It's emotional. It's an emotional time, that's for sure. But let's discuss that.
Okay.
When we return. The debut of the ref log. If we need to, we'll do this every game. I'll do a ref log and I'll do a screen log because I hate myself and I love you guys. I'll do it every week if you want me to.
I also did a screen log. I'm glad we're thinking the same.
All right. Back after this on a Monday on 1620 The Zone. Mike in Columbus, Ohio writes in on the text line.
No. Hi, Mike.
This is a Husker fan.
Oh, okay.
Connor, the league needs Ohio State to be good. No way they were going to let the hated Huskers derail any Big Ten plans. So that was to Sipple's point. Is there something nefarious going on here with the referees?
I mean, Oregon and Indiana seem to be the horses you would bet on if you're in the Big Ten offices in Indianapolis.
Yeah, but Ohio State's Ohio State.
Yeah, but
It's still Ohio State, Josh.
is it?
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
With Will Howard?
Not a fan, as we've previously discussed. Also, gonna need to fix the situation at left tackle. Not great.
Not great.
That Michalski guy who left the game due to an injury later in the game, not gonna cut it. He's getting attacked by everyone, including freshman Willis McGahee. Just ate his lunch.
Will Howard didn't throw an incompletion until the third quarter.
And Jimmy Butler. Did you hear that on the Big in 60?
Mm-mm.
Did you hear how Jamari Butler is now Jimmy Butler?
I missed that. They Big in 60 did leave the extensive background on Willis McGahee. That's Willis McGahee's kid. Oh, really?
His name is Willis McGahee. Who would have thunk it? Klatt was like, yeah, he played for the Broncos yeah, that's definitely what he's famous for. Dave writes in.
Hi, Dave.
The league office was going to protect Ohio State at all costs. Why'd they lose to Oregon this year and to Michigan every year since Urban Meyer left?
Whoa, this is different.
I know. Why is all of our stuff changed?
I leave for 2 days and
everything is different. All right, Josh, hang on. All right, ref log. Here we go.
Yeah.
I have logged, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 instances of possibly questionable officiating.
In this one game alone?
Yes,
Or, okay.
where the refs seem to insert themselves into the game in seemingly unnecessary ways or weren't doing enough. I will note that this list is non-exhaustive. So if there is potentially more, please let me know.
It's just kind of when you, Connor Happer, notice it.
It's just, there was, I'm certain, a lot of holdings that I didn't see that weren't called. There was one in particular that did make this list.
It's holding on every play, Connor. I don't know.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Our officials make their first appearance with 9 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first quarter. Nebraska is
early,
struggling to get some yards, and they throw a pass over the shoulder and a great catch by Isaiah Nayer that was caught, but it hit the ground and it bobbled loose just a little bit. They called it a catch on the field. They reversed it. Nebraska's got a punt. The eventual ruling, I thought by the letter of the law, was indeed correct. Nice job, refs.
I believe Joel, although mentioned, or Gus said it's confusing. We don't know what a catch is. Something to that effect.
It moved.
Yeah. It did.
It moved. If there's no replay available or if there's not a challenge on that, because if you're the other coach, you probably don't challenge, right? So if too
early in the game,
if that just goes through, then it's a catch and we move on. Nebraska continues their way down the field. The next instance was less than a minute later. Jimmy Butler is nearly pulled to the ground by aforementioned left tackle Michalski. He absolutely busted his chops, got back there, and then is hugged in the face of Will Howard, who is miraculously, definitely not by holding, able to escape, climb the pocket, and gain 2 or 3 yards on a scramble. That was okay. If we can't see that holding, we can't see any holdings. So that was a good tone setter. Then we have the Malcolm Hartzog pass interference with 1:42 to go in the first quarter. I've definitely seen worse not get called. That was where, he's beat a little bit, and I understand, you kind of grabbed the guy to not get beat, but it wasn't egregious. Okay, we'll let him get away with that one. Fine call. Then we have the situation before halftime. Mike, the situation before halftime.
What do we think about this one?
Nebraska, let me explain it first. Nebraska has the ball on the Ohio State 39-yard line. There's 1 minute and 11 seconds left in the clock. Nebraska hands it off to Emmett Johnson. He gets the first down by more than a yard. More than a yard. Everyone can see it. It's on television. Every coach can see it in the box.
Well, not Gus Johnson, but everyone else can see it.
But wasn't his initial call like, hey, you got the first down?
Probably. Just generally.
I'm pretty sure he was like, yeah, well, it's a first down for Emmett Johnson, because it was, and it wasn't even a thought. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to go measure this or anything like that. It was just a first down. And then precious seconds tick off the clock, and it's not until 25 to 30 seconds later, Joe Klatt finally looks down and realizes, why are they setting up for 3rd and short? So Nebraska probably thinks the clock is stopped after the first down conversion, because that's what happens inside 2 minutes. But apparently they did not get the first down. Nebraska's next play isn't snapped until 30 seconds on the clock. They end up getting the first down on that play. And then it's immediately followed by the next play, which happened at 15 seconds on the clock after a spike. 3rd and 5 from the 30. Isaiah Nair is called for offensive pass interference near the pylon. I mean, I don't know. This might be the least of the common calls that we like. You know what I mean? Outside of like these ridiculous calls that get called whatever. OPI is pretty rare.
Yeah,
I would want to see how many OPIs happen on like in a season.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very many. And on a play where there was contact, but nobody caught the ball, it was over Isaiah Nair's head, and nobody, it seemed like, really had a play on the ball whatsoever. The two kind of got tangled up a little bit. And they call offensive pass interference. It's a nothing call. It's a no call. If anything, it's defensive pass interference. It's not like Nair was able to gain separation by the fact that he pushed the guy off and made a play on the football. It's a ridiculous call in a ridiculous spot. It moves Nebraska out of field goal range before they throw a quick ball to Fedoni to get back into field goal range. And then John Hull knocks in a 54-yard field goal, and Gus Johnson says, ha ha! What the F? What the hell was that? I mean, that is really bad. Matt Rhule should have been eating somebody's face about this.
Maybe he did.
I have no idea. But remember this whole line a couple weeks ago? It's like, somebody's got to fight for Nebraska. I'm thinking that this entire time. It's like Nebraska's getting steamrolled right now by these refs. And there's 6 more examples of it in the second half that I'm about to tell you about. But that was truly, truly horrible. And apparently, as you watch it back, they thought that for whatever reason, Thomas Fedoni had the ball, that the wrong guy had the ball. They marked it off where Thomas Fedoni ended up standing at the play, of course, without the football in his hand. Was Thomas Fedoni in the backfield to take the handoff? No.
Seems unlikely.
I mean, I just don't know what you do. I just don't know what you do. Like, how do you miss that? How do you miss that? Like, I generally am the type of person who says, refs, I mean, it's a hard job, and they get 95% of the calls right or whatever it is. And I'm just like, yeah. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I usually do give them the benefit of the doubt, but that was truly horrendous. Truly horrible. And Nebraska should send in their tape immediately, and they should start the complaint process right now.
Because there's a trickle down to that one, because you then had to go and run not a meaningless
Nebraska,
play. You had to run another play to get the first down, and then you had to spike.
It is reasonable that Nebraska could have scored a touchdown, because they would have at the very least, they would have had one more shot to throw it to the end zone instead of just the one that they got that ended up getting OPI called on it. OPI. There's another OPI still to discuss. To the second half. Third quarter. Now, this is, you want to blame Nebraska for this one, that's fine. Nebraska gets the ball off of the pick by Hartzog at the 7-yard line. It's 1st and goal from the 7. Nebraska's getting ready to take the lead. They run 2 plays for basically nothing. That's on them, right?
Right.
Nothing. And then on third down, they sweep it to Jalen Lloyd, who clearly gets inside the 1 yard line. He's inside the 1 yard line. At the very least, the 1 yard line. When they snap the fourth down play, they are at least halfway between the 1 and 2, if not at the 2. They lost an entire yard plus on the spot. And we're not talking about from the 50 to the 48. We're talking about from the half to the 1.5 or to the 2.
I believe Rhule briefly mentioned that particular call
horrendous
during the press conference.
Horrendous spot. They lost an entire yard on a fourth down situation to take the lead against Ohio State in the third quarter. And then, once again, self-inflicted. Now, these affect each other, right? Nebraska's moved back. They think they're at the half-yard line. They run the play where Dante Dowdell tries to jump over everybody.
Jumped way too early.
And then he tries to jump from where they snapped it, which was back behind the 2, and it doesn't work because you're basically 10 feet away. Yeah. You're Michael Jordan dunking from the free throw line at that point. Like, that's hard to do.
He needed to be Michael Jordan in Space Jam.
Does Dante Dowdell, need to possess the wherewithal to just stay on his feet and walk it into the end zone if he makes a 45-degree turn to the left? Yes.
It was a good jump.
Of course. Dante Dowdell needs to be able to score on that play. Mm-hmm. But the yard that they lost was not insignificant because that was the play they called. Now, on the other side, too, Nebraska has to adjust to these things. Hey, buzz, buzz, buzz down to the sideline. We're not going from the half-yard line anymore. We're going from the 2. We got to do something different. Or we got to at least remind Dante Dowdell, Dante, you can't leave your feet. Stay on the ground because the snap is coming from the 2. You're going to be jumping from the 4, right? So a lot of stuff went wrong there, but the yardage that Nebraska lost was not insignificant. Fourth quarter, Nair catches it, touchdown, up, review, back down at the quarter-yard line. Probably the right call again. Probably the right call again. 4:50 to go. Third quarter. Or third down. Or fourth quarter, sorry. 4:50 to go. Barney, Jacory, was completely thrown off his route because he was grabbed, and the ball would have been perfectly placed right in front of him, but he couldn't get there in time because he was grabbed. Pass interference, not called. Nebraska punts.
What point of the game was that?
That was 4:50 in the fourth quarter.
Okay. I believe around that time I started writing a note. These receivers are in the wrong place. Okay, that's why. It's because they're
bumped and pulled. 3:36 to go. First down. Banks makes a great catch and is called for offensive pass interference. Once again, I've seen much worse not get called.
Twice in a game.
Next play is the whole disaster. The final disaster and the final nail in the coffin for horrible officiating on Saturday, which was Jamal Banks making the catch. It was called incomplete on the field, and then he dropped the football, but then there was a targeting. So you add the targeting. There's an excruciatingly long replay to determine that it was a catch and a fumble, but it was targeting. So Nebraska is able to keep the ball, the first down. I thought they got all of it wrong. I thought it was incomplete and not targeting. I don't.
Now Joel was very Johnny on the spot with the rules. It doesn't matter what part of his body hits his head as long as if you hit his head, it's targeting.
Whatever. Targeting, not targeting.
Okay.
They're mad about it. Catch, no catch is a difficult one as well. Mm-hmm. I saw some people asking, by the way, if it was a fumble and Ohio State recovers and they have targeting, the play ends basically when the targeting happens. Targeting can't cause a fumble. You get to retain that possession from what I understand about it. And then this causes a gigantic Ryan Day hissy fit on the sideline, panic attack. The boiling cauldron that had been the horseshoe all day of emotion, they're outright booing their entire team. Then they get a guy kicked out rightfully for targeting, and Ryan Day has an absolute freak out on the sideline, and they give him a warning as if it's a sideline infraction to where they're celebrating and they pour out onto the field like they scored a touchdown or a game-winning interception or so. Sideline infraction, everybody get back. That is a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, and it should have been 15 yards for Nebraska. Nebraska should have been on the Ohio State side of the field with first down and a chance to win the game with less than 2 minutes to go. Nebraska still is up to the 41-yard line. They should have been past midfield by this point. Ryan Day should have got a personal foul, making contact with the official and being a general doofus on the field. He was already on the field. Like, I get sideline infraction if the guy's like, he gets onto the field and he's like, hey, come on, we got to get back a little bit. He's already on the field, making contact with the official, yelling at the official, cursing the official, throwing his headset. That is a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct foul. Nebraska should have been on the other side of the field. No guarantees that they get that job done either, as we've seen, but that's the ref log. I'm triggered. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right. Your thoughts?
I'm just so mad, Connor.
It feels... I like that I'm mad, if I'm to take a zoom out and
jaded as you thought you were.
Yeah, if I'm to take a zoom, if I go outside of my own body and look at this from above, I'm like, wow, this is great. He's talking about the football game. Isn't it great to talk about the football game
instead of
Nebraska?
Here we go
And
again.
in 3 years, they're just going to be, they're basically going to be Kansas.
Lost a close game again.
Why can't we be more like Indiana?
Why can't we hot shot this thing like at Vanderbilt?
Yeah. So we're not talking about that today. Although there is definitely big picture takeaways from Nebraska's loss to Ohio State on Saturday, which we will get to. But I think today warrants officiating first. Officiating first.
A rare for the Connor Happer.
It was a disaster class of officiating, and I have seen the cut up that let's see, one of
Husker Online.
Yeah, I think it
user.
was one of the Husker Online users. Right. Yeah. So one of the members over there. Yeah, I've watched through that. That was basically all the plays that you just heard me discuss. Let's go to the text line. Here is Michael.
Michael.
Can replay show pass interference on the Nair catch non-catch ball? See, this is where you get into a tricky spot because I don't need to go into the situation where we're like reviewing everything. You have to be more dependent on the officials getting it right. That's why I think the main point of why I think we have too much replay in our sport.
Do we need more? Actually, need more
No.
humans?
Well, maybe put more humans on the field so they
yeah.
could see things. Last night in the women's basketball exhibition game down in Lincoln, there was a play that happened right around the free throw line, and it was like a half shot, half pass, but it ended up flying out of bounds. It was kind of a struggle for the ball, ended up flying out of bounds, and the official who was on it literally immediately tossed up his hands. I don't know. He looked up to the official who was on the other side, and he didn't know either, but he guessed, and he was like, "Yeah, that way." Right. So maybe we do need more eyes on it. I don't know, or maybe we need the ability for the officials to ask. Like I know how those things go when the officials come together. They want to have each other's backs, right? And they want to say, "Hey, look, if you're right on top of it, it's your call." It's not. It's a little bit frowned upon in the refereeing community when some guy all the way across the field makes a call that you were right on top of. But if that's the case, and that guy feels like he has a really good look at it, and the guy on top of it, wasn't so sure, the officials need to come together and they need to discuss. It feels like it's a little, I don't know, it's kind of iso ball for officials. It's kind of individual, don't you think?
Yeah.
So I don't know if bringing more people out there would help. They're already in the way half the time anyway, so probably wouldn't do anything. But for big games like in the World Series that bring on umpires down the lines, and then they put those guys down the line, there's a play that specifically is designed for those officials to be helpful in those situations, and they get it wrong. They're standing right on top of it. Oh, look, here's a little popper down the left field line, and there's an ump right on top of it. Oh, he still missed it.
Oh, but that Jeffrey Mayer guy got it right over the weekend.
The new Jeffrey Mayer of the Dodgers.
That guy got it let off the hook. Although he did have to leave the game immediately and missed a hell of an ending.
Yeah. So I don't want to get into like, I point blank period. I don't want there to be more replay. I don't want there to be the ability to replay more things. I think we're already maxed out. I think it's already made officials worse. And frankly, you'll see it anywhere you go to watch sports right now. It's just not.
I will just make.
It's not in a healthy spot.
I'll make the call that allows me to review.
Yeah, it's shockingly bad.
I will call this very obvious not touchdown a touchdown so that we can look at it.
Yeah, yeah. Have you noticed that every like fumble is a fumble now?
Yeah,
every fumble is a fumble.
It's ruled on the field a fumble so that they can look at it.
So the players on the field will continue the play. Mm-hmm. So that way they have a ruling afterwards. After they go back and review, they could very easily erase that. But once you stop play, if you say the guy's down, then the play is stopped, and nothing after that matters. Nothing that happens after that matters. And so that's by design as well. And that's all with replay baked into it. It's stupid. And it allows officials to have that fallback option, and that's not what the officials need to do, Josh, is untether themselves.
Oh, interesting. A lot of that going around. Be interesting if more people untethered themselves.
Text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
Bad officiating. It was so bad, it almost seems like maybe they had money riding on the game. It's not like I don't want to do that. It's not that. They're not trying to make bad calls. They just suck at it. I'm sorry. And it probably isn't even their fault. It's probably more of the system. I guess I'm not gonna hate the player. I'm gonna hate the game. when it comes to officiating.
Bold
But
take.
it's just really bad. Mike, in Columbus, Ohio.
Hi, Mike.
Have you guys ever thought about bringing an official on the show? Yeah, I mean, there's been officials on various shows before. Oftentimes, it's very difficult. People always talking about like, hey, we got to do ref press conferences and stuff like that. Like that just doesn't give us anything. It doesn't make you feel any better, you know, because they know what the process is, and the process is right. But ultimately, you got to make the right call. Like it's like Nebraska playing in a football game against Indiana. Do we have the right process throughout the week? Do we feel like we're in the right headspace? Do we have a good week of practice? Yeah, absolutely. Do you still have to execute when it comes to the game? Yeah. Did they not do that against Indiana? No, not even close. So I don't know. We've discussed it. It's bad. It affected the game. Nebraska missed an opportunity on Saturday, no doubt about it. An opportunity to get bowl eligible. And now Ohio State's bowl eligible. Look at what you did. Ohio State, they're going to a bowl now. They're celebrating at their version of the Grand China Buffet today.
What is Columbus's version of the Grand China Buffet?
That place is... It's almost a win for Nebraska just to see them react the way that they did during that game. Oh
Boy,
my goodness.
They hated their football team Saturday.
We got cheese getting thrown on the field. We got fireball shooters getting thrown onto the field. Nebraska's media is under attack from
right. Poor Michael Brunts.
people throwing stuff onto the field after the targeting call. And yeah, everybody's like, watch your head, get your umbrellas out and stuff like this. People are angry. They're booing their own team after Nebraska got the I think it was either a fourth down. No, it was a 3-and-out. Nebraska's defense, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3-and-outs on the day on Saturday. After they got the last one, it was it's the second to last one, maybe, because it was still in the third quarter. Straight boos.
Yep.
Like, nope. It was murmurs for a while. Straight boos.
Big Buckeye overreaction must have been a scene.
And so there's this pressure that just and so when you get Ohio State into that exact spot, they are very vulnerable because there's so much, there's just so much expectation.
Their home field advantage goes away.
Absolutely. They start rooting for the other team. They're like, we deserve this.
Good. We want Ryan Day to get fired. If he loses to Nebraska, we'll have to fire him.
And it's just unfortunate that Nebraska couldn't quite take advantage of all that, because it was it did. I was going to say it was about to blow, but it blew.
I would say so.
What an existential crisis mode that they're in right. Nebraska, you should feel responsible. You sent them into existential crisis mode. Now, that's not a great thing, because it comes from the disposition of they don't think much of you. Peter and I were discussing this a little bit on Friday. Like, I feel like the general disposition toward Nebraska from Ohio State fans has been like almost pity. Like,
oh, you think you're a blue blood? Oh, that's cute.
No. Well, it's more of like, I kind of want these guys to have success. It's really like not at the expense of us, but I kind of want these. Oh, that's a once great program, and they've really fallen on some hard times. So let's clap them in and clap them out. But then when it gets serious and when it gets real, it gets real.
No, that's good for you.
Yeah, right. That kind of thing.
A lot of that going on.
Yeah. So that's not good that they feel that way about you. Mitch and I were discussing this morning on our podcast. Like
Locked On podcast.
The idea, you said it, the idea of, how Nebraska uses this game as sort of a springboard or a jumping off point. And we thought back to the previous two times that Nebraska made it a game with Ohio State. And I argued the 2021 game, I mean, you were already far down the line, obviously, and like so many things had already happened with Scott Frost. And that day, I never really felt like Nebraska was going to win. They got a couple turnovers. It was a little fluky. CJ Stroud threw for 400 yards. Like, I don't think Nebraska was winning that day. They lost by 9. We were like, oh, they lost another one-score game, kind of. Right? So people kind of did that
49 is 50, then 9 is 8.
Yeah, there you go. 9 kind of felt like 25 that day. But the 2018 game, when Nebraska went up there and they fought them tooth and nail, it was I think Nebraska was like 2-6 or 2-7 at that point, maybe even worse. And it was Frost's first year, and they went out and fought them a little bit. They came back the next week and they blasted the hell out of Illinois, and then they won the next week in the snow game against Michigan State. Like, they used that. They used that and said, we can do this. And so you hope that Nebraska looks like a version of that on Saturday. So there's good and bad, right? It's disappointing in a way because Nebraska had Ohio State on the ropes and they had a chance to really do it. And it would have been a monumental win for the program, regardless of how it went down. But I felt like Nebraska, they physically fought them, right? I don't think that wasn't really fluky. Ohio State played like garbage, but Nebraska forced the issue in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They took advantage of their weaknesses. Nebraska stopped the run. They exposed all their backup tackles and didn't allow explosives, which, I mean, that's not a complete statement because they got 3 touchdowns off of explosive, 2 touchdowns off of explosives.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a complete day. And really, so if you were to boil it down to that, Nebraska was just missing the explosive nature and coulda, shoulda, woulda won that game. But in 2018, they used that as a jumping off point and said, hey, look, all right, here's proof. I know you guys watch them on TV all the time. They have all these NFL players. They have this and this and this and this. We can be that. You guys are good. And so maybe that was the point that Nebraska needed reinforced. And I think it's especially the point that they needed reinforced after last week's disaster. So now, if you want to talk about the Indiana game officially enters the realm of an all-time WTF game. What the hell happened that day?
We may never know.
We may never know. I see the national media already using it as an excuse to say that Indiana is better than Ohio State. They're not.
That has been the major takeaway I've seen.
They're not. Ohio State has their problems, but Indiana and Ohio State are going to play each other, and Ohio State's going to be probably about 10-ish, at least touchdown favorites and win that game by 2 touchdowns coming up in a couple weeks here after Ohio State dispatches of Penn State this week. I don't think the world of Ohio State. People are like, oh, it's not a very good Ohio State team. It's like, can't you guys just be okay for 10 seconds? All right. We don't have to do this to ourselves. Ohio State. Colorado's pretty good, guys. You guys notice that?
Yeah.
Colorado's pretty good.
They've turned a corner.
Nebraska absolutely smashed that team.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd prefer to sort of look at it that way. But yeah, Nebraska could, hopefully will use this as a jumping off point because now you see what the standard is, right? And that was Rhule's point after the game. And he said he was proud of the team that he had a
good speech
time like that. Yeah. Chris writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, Chris.
I was getting 2010 A&M feelings watching this game. I wasn't getting that. I don't think I will ever be as convinced that my team was getting purposefully hosed than I was watching that game. I didn't feel that way on Saturday. I didn't feel as if it was purposeful. I didn't feel as if there was meaning behind it. I just felt like it was incompetence. There's a difference. The Texas A&M game, I was like, this is it. They're sending us off with this gift. Both thought that too.
Thank you.
Yeah. I did not think it was purposeful. Let's see. Another question. Let's see, Chris. Which was the worst call? Any of the horrendous calls against Nebraska? The screw job Vanderbilt got with the illegal formation call against them on their 4th down play. Oh my God. Yeah, tough. Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Nice try, Connor. You are still wrong, and I'm not going to untether myself.
Whoa.
What's up with that? you guys aren't in the mood to untether yourself right now, then I don't know what to do
Come
for you.
on. Even though
Nebraska's going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
Once again, it's Monday, and Nebraska's going to a bowl game. It's Monday. Nebraska has played their 8th game. They're 5-3. And I repeat, just as I did 1 year ago, basically today, Nebraska's going to a bowl game. And if you don't believe me now, then you're never going to believe me.
Now, I might have been wrong about my prediction on Friday, but
got it.
Didn't it feel good to feel something? Didn't it feel good to like, oh my gosh, yeah, that guy's an idiot and he's wrong and he's like shouting at me, but what if he's right?
But
that was fun, wasn't it?
That's the problem, though. It was never that far away. It was just Nebraska playing not with its head up their keisters, right? And so that's why the Indiana game will go down as an all-time WTF. I don't know what happened that day. But save for that game and some bad officiating / Nebraska not finishing drives against Ohio State, and then whatever the hell happened in the last 2 minutes against Illinois and then in overtime, it just feels like it's that close. It feels like it's that close for Nebraska. It's just, do you trust them? Do you trust them to do that all the time? I'll raise my hand. I don't. How could you? We have now seen them fight tooth and nail with Ohio State and at times look like a better team, a more physical team, a team that took the fight to them. Back to back in the week before that, the very game before that, they looked like they were cowering in fear or whatever it was against Indiana. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not. So I can't trust that, but now they see the blueprint. So you hope that it just, something catches on there. All right. Want to hear from you guys. 402-951-1620. Here's Jake on Twitter.
Hi, Jake.
Good hell. I haven't rewatched the game because I knew I'd get pissed, but now I'm 100 times more mad. That might have been the worst ref game I've ever seen. And I watch 24 hours of football on 5 televisions every weekend.
Whoa. First of all,
that
I would like your life.
Is a lot of football.
Second of all, good hell. I've never heard
good hell.
I kind of like it.
Good hell. Indeed.
I don't know what it means, but you say it and I know what you mean, if that makes any sense at all.
Nebraska allowed 64 rushing yards to Ohio State. They manhandled him in the run game.
You absolutely would have taken that on the front end.
Nebraska
if I tell you on Friday, you're only going to allow 64 rush yards.
Nebraska out first down to Ohio State 18-11. Nebraska gave up 3 big plays, 3 chunk plays, right? 2 really important ones. A 40-yard touchdown pass, a 60-yard touchdown pass, and a 37-yard touchdown pass. It wasn't like, I felt oftentimes when Nebraska was playing Ohio State that they could just pick their number, right? And the reasoning behind that is they can run the ball at will. They have been able to run the ball at will against anybody. They've definitely been able to do it at Nebraska. So whatever they're doing in the meantime before they get to the actual nut cutting time at the end of hey, we should probably win, is just child's play. What are we doing in between? But they couldn't run the ball against Nebraska. And that's not because they weren't trying. They were trying. It wasn't going anywhere. Nebraska's defense stuffed them. 10 Ohio State rushes were stuffed. That's 0 yards or less. 32% of Ohio State's rushing plays were stuffed. 0 yards or less. They had
that is hot.
2 rushes for over 10 yards. So the two long touchdown passes hurt a little bit, but really you take 4 passing plays of over 15 yards for that explosive offense. They're one of the most explosive offenses in the country, even though I don't think much of their quarterback. Still are, right? Nebraska. I mean, they kind of did what they did to Colorado. I think about Colorado last year. Explosive offense, needs the big play to survive, is able to run the ball. Now, Colorado wasn't really able to run the ball last year, but Nebraska just suffocated them, didn't let them breathe. And I think an important part, and we talked about this in the Keys on Friday, an important part is especially after the idiotic start Nebraska had, which was dropping the opening kick and then dropping the first play of the game.
Oh, God.
I'm thinking, I'm about to go apple picking. I'm done. I am going out. I'm quitting today. Call me when I have to go to the arena for Creighton basketball. They just played football for like 7-8 minutes. You know, they just kind of punted back and forth. They just played football for a little while. And so they got things to go their way a little bit. We got a little time for Random Mike here on the 42 Degrees of Source Hotline. Hi, Mike.
Hey, at the women's game, I got to tell you, this is the truth. Lady friend of mine who knows everybody in the women's team for years, and the coaches said you're her favorite PA guy, and she loves all the references giving credit to a good assist.
See, Mike, that you started that, and now I continue that.
And there were a lot of them yesterday.
There were indeed. It was fun to be back.
How far can this team go? Because I don't think we've ever been deeper. I mean, there are just a lot of good players.
I don't know. I don't know what they are quite yet. They're definitely deeper than they have been, which should help them, and they'll get better too because Allison's just coming back and Britt's just getting going. So I don't know. I think they'll be a lot different of a team in a month than they are right now.
Yeah, Allison, it was kind of rough to watch her. Clearly, still not 100%. Do you think she will get?
Yeah,
will get better.
Yep. She's just getting back into full speed right now for sure.
Okay, because she's a marvelous athlete, and we really need that.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of a stopper, and she can take it to the hoop. I'll never forget that Maryland game. I don't think we ever beat Maryland since we joined the Big Ten. And that one game we beat them over there. I mean, she could have had a triple-double. I mean, they could not handle her.
Yeah.
She was fantastic.
Yeah. She's awesome. I'm so happy she's back.
Hey, about football, would you dream? Because I really think Dillon's as good a thrower as we've ever had. He misses a wide-open guy for a touchdown in Indiana, which would have changed the game. He missed two wide-open guys for touchdowns here. And he's got to be feeling really, really bad about that.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you explain it?
I think he's just got to step into some throws. You know,
He does that a lot.
he just lets him float a little.
It's
bit.
all top.
Yeah, it's all top.
Yeah.
Josh says.
And how about, hey, you can replay my last call before the game that we got a real chance of winning, and this would be one of the greatest wins ever if Dillon has a great game like Martinez did his freshman year. And Dillon did some really good things. And let me tell you, his running was very encouraging.
Yeah, that was huge. I want to talk about that later, and we will.
Yeah. But if he has a really good game for him, I think we win by 10 points or more. But that officiating at the end of the first half, I mean, that was bizarre, and it's unbelievable. And that probably cost us, 4 points.
I would. Well, I mean, they ended up getting 3 out of it, but yeah,
Right, you're right.
They could have scored a
but
touchdown.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was
It
horrible.
cost us close to a minute.
It did. Mike, thanks.
Take care.
Appreciate the support at the women's basketball games as well. Somebody right behind me said, "Connor, welcome back." Last night. And I was like, wow, this is great.
Big celebrity. Happer.
We are so back.
I love it.
All the basketball is back. I'll give myself a moment to talk about hoops later on in the show today because yes, it was a busy weekend around here in terms of our various hoops teams. But we have to cut out some time for our dear friend Mike Schaefer. Wonder what he thought of the officiating this weekend. Wonder if we could get him to use the Ralph Wiggum photo in verbal form.
I'm in danger?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to see that.
Yeah. He does that. That's like his bit on Twitter. I don't know The Simpsons, but I think that's his deal. All right, we're back after this with Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth, for sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
Hey, we're joined on the 42 Degrees, the Source hotline by Mike Schaefer of Husker 247. Hello, Schaefer. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you, Happer?
Great. I was just running through the log of things that the refs did wrong on Saturday, and it was admittedly non-exhaustive. I probably missed some things, but I found myself I angered myself as I went through them.
Yeah, there's a lot in there where you kind of forget, like the Isaiah Nair catch that didn't get or that got overturned.
Yes, the down at the quarter-inch yard line. Yes,
right. Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of stuff in there. Not a great day for Big Ten officiating. It really it makes me wonder if at some point we'll ever see like a relative transparency of the grading of how officials do from week to week. We kind of have like the outsourced version of that for baseball umpires. I'm wondering if we ever see it for like football officials.
Yeah. No, I wonder. I wonder if that would help. I wonder if that would do anything.
Well, it would make it a little more transparent. I doubt the officials would want it because it's only going to draw more ire and more anger. But not a particularly great day for officiating. And it's not even the stuff like the judgment calls. They didn't even get the technical stuff right.
Yeah, spotting
like
the ball probably.
The run, you can't spot the ball correctly. You have someone whose job it is to sit up in the, like there's someone whose job it is to buzz the head official and be like, "We got this wrong." Like, what was that person doing all of Saturday?
I don't know. Nothing. Just taking a nap or something like that. I have no idea. But it didn't go well.
Did we ever get any explanation for how Ryan Day was able to like go onto the field, spike his headset, bump an official, but that didn't result in 15 yards at all?
One of the most egregious ones for sure. And he got like basically a sideline warning, like, "Hey, get back!" One of those
Which
things.
Doesn't and they even said it on the broadcast. That doesn't even fit the actions of what happened. And then additionally, we're now 2 weeks into fans just throwing trash onto the field with no recourse for it either.
That's right.
You've got that going on as well.
Yep. Very fun. Very good times in the Big Ten. What is the real version of Nebraska's defense? Where have we gotten a good grasp on what we're going to see from week to week with that group?
Well, I mean, there's been 8 games this season, right? And so 6 of the 8 games have kind of shown up to at least a B to a B plus level, and at times an A plus level. So I think, at 6 out of 8 games, we have an idea for what they're able to do. And I think there's a very common denominator in all 6 of those games. The defensive line plays well.
Yep.
I mean, they go as their defensive line goes. So if Nebraska's defensive line comes up and plays well, they're going to be in the football game in a way that they wouldn't when they played poorly against Indiana. And they didn't really play as bad against Illinois. They just weren't different makers. And so that let your second and third level struggle a little bit more. I keep going back to this. It was the last thing I kind of said about the game on Saturday on Twitter. Jamari Butler and MJ Sherman were difference makers in ways that really they haven't been since kind of the beginning of the season. MJ Sherman had a really nice start to the season. Then he kind of disappeared from things when conference play came in. He had a great game on Saturday. And then Jamari Butler, I think that was the best game of his Nebraska career. I think he can be a really disruptive player. And honestly, this wasn't even one of the sacks or the 3 tackles for a loss. His ability to get Will Howard down to at least force the 4th down was such a great individual effort play that gets lost because they pick it up on that short pass. But he really made a great play getting across the field to tackle Howard to at least force a 4th down. If Nebraska gets a stop there, we're talking about that Jamari Butler play all the time.
Yeah. He was really, really good. I mean, Nebraska basically had guys like taking turns on that left tackle.
Well, what was cool is that they moved Jamari Butler. Like, he was playing an interior spot at times and just destroying them from the interior too. I mean, I've seen that happen, with the NFL, where you have a really good rush end and, a team's weak at guard, and you kind of either do twists or you just straight up line them over the guard and see what happens. And that's kind of what Nebraska did at times with Jamari Butler too.
Offensively,
bad.
Yeah. So 4.6 yards per attempt.
Not good.
That's bad, Schaefer. That would be bad.
Look, I know between the two of us, you're the one with the spreadsheets and you like to compile all the stats. I did a little stat hunting of my own. In the month of October, 37% of Nebraska's completions went for 4 yards or less. 37%. That is terrible.
I wonder what it is, Schaefer. Like, what do you have this? Like 0 yards or less? Like there is a
0 yards or less was 17%.
Amazing.
And then like 1/8 of all completions went for lost yards in the month of October.
That is nuts. Why? Why do they keep doing these things?
I don't know. Well, I'm sure Matt Rhule will give a non-answer about it today, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask Marcus Satterfield. It is one of those things where, for the most part, not someone who pushes back a ton when the coaches say, like, this is working in practice, this is what we're trying to do, because I'm not there. I can't really dispute that. I don't understand how you keep asking Jamal Banks to do things that he's clearly not able to do. And then you do it multiple times in the same game, and you do it multiple times against the defensive back in Burke that's good at coming up. And it's just like,
you know what's funny though, Schaefer?
Self-sabotage. It doesn't make any sense to me.
He blocked, I think there was one where he blocked it and he threw a great block and it ended up getting a whole bunch of yards for Nebraska. And I can't remember exactly what it was or when it was, but there was one play where it worked.
I think he had a nice downfield block on the Riola scramble that went for 35 yards.
Maybe it was that.
That was one where I noticed it. And it was like, okay, well, maybe he needs to run a route first and then he can get into his block instead of just having to block just immediately on the screenplay.
I guess. I guess so. But they just kept throwing them and they kept on going. They kept on going nowhere. And I don't need Nebraska to be taking, I don't need them to be taking shots down the field all the time, but they've seen way better results. They get a bunch of pass interference calls. I don't know. It just feels like that's the better option if that's what your offense is reduced to. There's also the running the ball option, which actually seemed to be going quite well for Nebraska on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it was an effective run game. It was a weird famine feast kind of thing where they basically had a lot of runs of 3 yards or less. And then they'd have these sort of 6 runs on Saturday that, they couldn't get anything in between 5 and 11 yards, but then they'd have that went over 12 yards. So it's sort of a, like I said, famine or feast rushing attack. It went okay for Nebraska on Saturday, but it's something that they're going to have to, if you're going to lean on this, you're really going to have to do it. I mean, I wouldn't say that for a guy who said he has to commit to the run game, I wouldn't say that Nebraska really did that.
No.
Some of the numbers are skewed because you were inside the 10-yard line, and I think definitely afraid to pass. Part of my concern right now is they're doing some of the stuff that Scott Frost did last time out, where it's you get in the red zone and they get so scared.
Yes.
To either throw the football or try to do anything where the ball goes over the end zone line in the air. And it's inexplicable to me. I mean, they ran multiple pass plays that were behind the line of scrimmage inside the red zone for reasons I will not understand.
Yeah, they do get afraid, and they don't want to is that at the root of a lot of? I mean, I think about some of the previous games where we get on Dylan Raiola for not letting loose and throwing them when a couple of them are open. Like he's got to throw some of these things, but it's from the base and the root of we can't turn the football over, which is I almost feel like they're really just attached to that idea right now, which is in a sense not a bad idea, but it definitely takes the ceiling off of the offense.
Well, it's safer if you have the safety net of kicking field goals, which they may have again based on Saturday, which is one of the reasons I think for real optimism going forward in the month of November is that if you feel comfortable that you can get points, Nebraska's issue to me hasn't been offensively. They're able to move the ball inside the other team's 40. It's at that point where it all falls apart. When the field gets small, the play calling seems like it gets more conservative, and the results seem pretty bad.
Yeah. And there's a couple throws that Rhule just misses.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think part of what has happened is that from the Illinois game on, they have dialed in Rhule a little bit. I mean, maybe not so much Purdue. So maybe the Rutgers game on. It feels like he's been dialed in a little bit, whether that's because of health, whether that's because he's missing throws, whether that's a confidence thing. It feels like they are trying, not asking him to go win football games the same way they did in September. That's just one of these things that I can't shake out of the month of October. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really feel like the full offense is available at times. And it seems like it's really limiting for what you're trying to do. And yet at the same time, they might be doing this out of necessity because, maybe they're really concerned about a lot of turnovers here. Maybe that's what they're seeing in practice. And they're not going to come out and say that in the media session. So it's going to be, some of it is just trying to piece together, why does it look like this now when it looked like something else entirely the first 4 games of the season?
I did feel like that the scrambling stuff was a real step in the right direction on that. Like I don't need him to be running around all the time, but for him to have the confidence to pull it down and go make a play, like that's a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, and hopefully, it begets more confidence where he does it and it's a little less tentative. I mean, on that long run, you could feel him being like, wait, where are people? Why am I still running right now? Because it's just not what he's expecting. And if he has a little bit more decisiveness when he decides to go, it's going to really pay off, I think, for Nebraska in terms of, being able to get some of those first downs. It felt like he had an opportunity in Indiana to run more than he did. Now when teams look at the film from Ohio State and you see that he's willing to do it, it's no longer 11 versus 10 on offense. There's a real threat that he might run the ball when Nebraska's passing.
How do you feel about, just generally, how do you feel about the final 4 games now? It feels like this is a week by week moving target. But how do we feel about it now, given where Nebraska's at and everybody else?
I'm in the same spot where I was before. I mean, I thought this was a team capable of winning 8 or 9 football games coming into the year. I went on the high end of that with 9 wins. I still think they can win the last 4 games. I don't know that that's the most likely outcome. But I really believe that if the version that played in Columbus shows up at home, they'll win both home games. And if they can, get that version to show up in either one of the 2 road games, I think they can win that game too. None of these 4 teams, they're not scary. They're not things that you aren't going to be prepared for. The best of them is USC because of the talent, and they're probably the most multi-dimensional on offense. The rest of them have a lot of their own questions, like a lot of their own issues. I mean, UCLA especially. I think everybody knows that.
Many issues.
Iowa gets these performances like Saturday where it kind of makes you like, oh, wow, they won 40-14. And then you're like, okay, so they forced the safety. They had multiple interceptions. They had a punt return for a touchdown. They benched their starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've got their own litany of issues. It's on Nebraska to be able to show up and play in a game like that, make them have struggles, and then capitalize on it.
Yep.
They're capable of doing it. They just haven't done it.
If you could stop Iowa in the run game, you're going to be in good shape. That's pretty much the story.
Well, and that's true for Wisconsin. I'm not worried about their passing game. I know what they did to Rutgers and Purdue, but that's not Nebraska. And then, USC, I don't understand that team at all. I really don't. Like they have a lot of talent, but how do you lose to Maryland? Like Minnesota absolutely took it to them. So I think Nebraska would have a chance if you show up and you play good defense in that game too.
Yep. All right, Schaefer. Appreciate it as always. Enjoy the rest of your week, my friend. Talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one, Happer.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 247. Optimism for the last 4 games. All of them? Oh my goodness. Forget about it. Forget about your Music City Bowl, Josh. We're going to the whatever the 9 wins get you. Bowl.
Duke's Mayo Bowl?
That's probably somewhere in Florida, right?
Florida. Cheez-It Citrus Bowl?
Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Not to be confused with Cheez-Its Bowl.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that sounds right. I don't know. A lot of stuff left to be decided in
Really
the
should
month
have made that website.
of November. November begins Saturday. Well, November football begins Saturday for Nebraska. November actually begins Thursday. Right? Halloween's Wednesday? No,
Thursday.
Halloween's Thursday. November begins Friday.
There you go.
Now we got it. Got our calendars right. All right. Matt Rhule's press conference is coming up at the top of the hour. Josh's Odd News press conference is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Oddson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Oddson. Odd news, Oddson. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
It is time for Josh Oddson's Odd News.
That's right.
Also, we're just a couple minutes away from big kickoff time overreaction.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, we gonna get that USC kick time today? Or are they gonna?
I guess.
Would that be the one?
Okay, hang on. No, because Nebraska has a bye week again after this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they get another bye week. When are we going to get big USC kickoff time? God,
because there's going to be some takes.
As excited as I was about the post 10 p.m. kickoff on Friday night for Rutgers and USC, didn't quite make it, Josh.
That was a rough watch.
Oh, baby. Did not make it.
And then by the time they got to the game, it was over.
I don't know what the ratings are going to look like for that, but
You'll never know.
Can't be. No. Can't be good. All right, Josh, what do we got today?
We go to Lexington, Kentucky, where
Oh, no. We don't want to go there.
they're in a tailspin down there.
Yeah.
Stoops, in fact, did not have it going at Kentucky because they lost to Auburn over the weekend.
Sometimes you lose to Auburn.
Well, they're the first SEC team to do that this year. Auburn coach Hugh Freeze, though, he was late to the game. He arrived.
Why?
He arrived. Well, he got there before kickoff, which is really all that matters, right? He did not fly in until late Friday night, early Saturday morning, depending on your worldview.
Why?
Due to a 24-hour bug, the school is calling it.
No, you know what that means.
Diarrhea. That's right.
That's poop.
Sources told ESPN's Pete Thamel
Pete tweet
that Freeze didn't travel after falling ill on Friday. Auburn football spokesman confirmed the coach experienced nausea described as a 24-hour bug, but flew to Lexington Saturday morning and was with the team as it conducted its pregame tiger walk into Kroger Field several hours before the game's kickoff.
Yikes.
Man,
have you ever been stricken with that kind of sickness?
Not before needing to get on an airplane.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to handle that.
No.
I wouldn't know how to handle that. I wouldn't. I mean, I guess he handled it the right way, right? He's got the ability to just fly in later.
Mm-hmm.
So just take advantage of your resources, I suppose.
7.5 hour long drive. I'm probably not.
No, I mean, that's
probably not
worse.
doing that.
That's
Yeah.
worse.
I actually kind of feel for Hugh Freeze in this situation.
It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe you just go as normal and spend the whole time on the pot.
Yeah. Say, hey, I need the Hugh Freeze memorial bathroom on this plane.
Yeah. Ugh. Tough times. Sorry.
Got an IV before the game and everything.
Yeah. Gonna need that.
We go to, I'm going to sneeze here.
Okay.
No,
All
I
right.
talked about it, so it's not going to happen.
Yep. Work on it.
Indianapolis Colts quarterback, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
This guy.
He's got interesting takes.
He has an odd worldview.
Yeah.
He was seen tapping his helmet in the third quarter of Sunday's game against the Houston Texans to signal, I need one, coach. I need an exit.
I was running around too much.
You don't see that from a quarterback a lot.
Not usually, no.
Joe Flacco would come in to replace him. Well, it was only for one play. It had people scratching their heads. Richardson addressed the allegations following a 23-20 loss. I was tired. I ain't going to lie. That was a lot of running that I did. And I didn't think I was going to be able to do that next play. So I just told Shane I needed a break right there.
I really appreciate this, honestly, because we tell athletes to do this all the time.
Be honest.
Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your teammates. Like, you're hurting the team. If you can't do it, then you can't do it. And it's one play and you have a capable quarterback behind you. All right. Like, so I got to respect this, Josh. I got to respect this.
Now,
Odd, you don't hear it very much. And I know people will sit there and they'll be like, come on, man. Be in better shape, A, or B, like, come on, don't you want to fight or whatever? Came out one play.
It's an odd.
You just don't hear it very much.
Yeah. Third down, crucial third down in the game coming up, and you're like, I need out. You don't hear that very often.
No, you don't.
And I don't have in front of me how Joe Flacco did on the one play.
I don't either. I didn't watch much NFL yesterday, to be honest with you.
Well, you're busy. You're a busy guy.
I was in a lot of places.
Finally,
hours.
We go to New York.
Yeah, let's go to New York.
Connor's home away from home.
I love New York.
Actor Timothy Chalamet.
Uh-oh.
You're familiar with actor Timothy Chalamet?
I am.
Okay. He made a surprise appearance at his own lookalike contest in Lower Manhattan on Sunday.
Did he win?
I don't know. An event that drew hundreds of onlookers. I didn't need anything more than the headline, so I have no idea what happens in this story, by the way.
Okay.
Flanked by bodyguards, Chalamet briefly posed for photos with his high-cheeked, curly-haired doppelgangers, some of whom had dressed as the actor's character in Wonka or the Dune movies. But some mascot dressed as Dune over the weekend. I forget who it was. But just as the wannabe Chalamets began strutting along a red carpet in Washington Square, police ordered the large group to disperse, slapping organizers with a $500 fine for a, quote, unpermitted costume contest. At least one contestant was taken away in handcuffs, though police did not immediately say why. It started off as a silly joke, and now it's turned into pandemonium, says a producer for YouTube personality Anthony Poe, who staged the event. Organizers had posted flyers for the contest, which promised a $50 prize to the winner. Around New York in recent days, spurring social media speculations about who might RSVP to the event.
So I'm trying to find a picture of Timothy at this event, but all I see is pictures of the other Timothys.
Now, this article goes on to discuss what makes a good Timothy Chalamet lookalike. And
you're just going to be like a pasty white guy.
Right. That's key. Lauren Kloss, a 27-year-old graphic designer who was at the event, said, quote, "It's all in the nose, all of his bone structure, really."
Sure. I mean, he just looks like a pretty regular white guy with hair.
After winnowing down the group to 4, the remaining contestants were asked about their French proficiency, their plans to make the world a better place, and their romantic intentions with Kylie Jenner. Chalamet and Jenner are allegedly a couple.
So the check that they presented to the winner, it says paid to the order of Best Tim. I like these weirdos who are, who do stuff like this, and they're like, yeah, Tim, that's Tim.
Miles Mitchell, a 21-year-old Staten Island resident who dressed in purple like Willy Wonka and tossed candy into the crowd from a briefcase, won the $50.
What's he going to get for $50?
You can't get anything for $50 in New York.
Ride on the ferry. Actually, didn't they discontinue the Staten Island ferry or something like that? There, somebody bought it, or
Colin Jost and Pete Davidson.
They bought it
together.
Right. Okay. So they operate the Staten Island ferry now?
I believe so.
Cool. All right. Well, that's exciting. Thank you. I still couldn't find any pictures.
Oh, sad.
Breaking news before we take a break here. The Kansas City Chiefs have made a trade.
Oh, God. Who are they getting now? CeeDee Lamb?
Patriots linebacker Josh Uche. So
no relation.
Not quite as maybe breaking news as you would thought. But the Chiefs are doing stuff. They're getting more players.
They're always tinkering over there.
All right, Matt Rhule has his Monday press conference. As far as I know, it's at noon again. So I don't know. Could be 12:10. Could be already started. Who knows? Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. It is Monday in the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Here's from Theo on the YouTube.
Hi, Theo.
The listeners could never repay Happer Show for all they do, Heart.
Thank you, Theo.
There was discussion in the comment section earlier about like a hangout, or something like
sesh?
Yeah, they were going to hang out. I don't know if that was going to be including us or just like the little community that people have created of the people who listen to our various shows. I don't know. That sounds kind of crazy, though.
I love that.
What would they do the whole time? They would just like talk about us?
Probably, yeah.
No,
Certainly for the first like 30 minutes. That's all they would talk about until they found other commonalities.
Yeah. It's like, remember when, I don't know, what's a bad food take Josh has had?
I've never had one.
No,
all mine are great.
Josh Peterson.
Oh,
there's been plenty of them. I don't eat cheese.
So
or
many
something.
nuggies.
Oh yeah, chicken nuggets, stuff like that. Maybe that would come up, and then they would just talk about the Huskers. Go Huskers. Pedro writes in about Nebraska football. By the way, we're waiting on Matt Rhule's Monday press conference.
Hi, Pedro.
Pedro, classic Pedro. He starts off his text with, "Hey guys, hi guys. I think the discussion has to be once Nebraska gets the lead, then the defense gives up a touchdown. That happens far too often the last 6 years."
It was the one drive that was really easy for Ohio State all day.
What do we make of that?
God, it was the one drive that.
What do we make of that? Nebraska gets the lead on Ohio State in the fourth quarter. They're winning 17-14. And Ohio State doesn't need, they did get a big play on that drive. There was they got the 37-yard pass, I think, on that drive that got them going pretty quick. But, I mean, it was by far their most complete drive of the day, right? 8 plays for 75 yards. I'm going to go and I'm going to look at the drive chart and I'm going to see actually what happened on that drive. So let's go to the fourth quarter, Ohio State's touchdown drive. Right, so they started it off with a 37-yard play to Tate. 3-yard run, 2-yard run, 2-yard run. And then they get them to fourth down, right? On the 29.
Right, there was a fourth down on that.
They got him to fourth down, and they dumped it out to Ibuka for 3 yards, and then punched it in a few plays later. I just I don't know. My general takeaway from the performance of the defense is that it was really good. It stopped the run well. Hell, it stopped the run well on this drive as well. Once again, we're talking about a 3-yard run, a 2-yard run, a 4-yard run, and then they got the fourth down completion on the they ran out to the right and tossed it to Ibuka, right? I remember that play now. Judkins got 7 more. Howard got 10 on a scramble, and then it's not like they got gashed. It's not like anything changed all that much, right? It's just, I don't know. They made a couple plays, and the general takeaway from the defense was that it was pretty dang good all day long. And so I don't know that needs to be really looked into. Oh, well, they scored immediately after Nebraska took the lead, and that was just, soul sucking for them. I if there was something about that drive that definitively made it different from the other ones, I'd be like, okay, there's something worth looking at. Like Andrew says on Twitter, he says the scoring drive for Ohio State in the fourth quarter after the big play on first down, it just seemed like something changed. It seemed like they were way less aggressive. But maybe that's it.
Yeah, I don't know from an X's and O's standpoint what was different, but maybe I'm just playing the result. Just the vibe was different.
After the first play, after the 37-yard play, is that what you're saying? Or just
that
on the fourth
drive,
quarter in general? So that led to the 37-yard play.
That drive.
And then the touchdown
different.
drive.
It's the one drive that felt different.
Hey, we got an email, press release alert.
Press release
This is from the Big Ten Conference. Are you guys ready for this? This won't make people angry in any way.
I'm terrified about what you're about to say. I have no idea what you're going to say.
This is from the Office of Officiating.
Oh, no. Clean sheet.
During that would be fun. Nope, didn't get anything wrong.
No notes.
Nebraska apparently has submitted some things to the Big Ten, and so much so that the Big Ten has chosen to respond. During Nebraska's final drive of the first half, on second down with 2 yards to gain on the Ohio State 39, the ball was incorrectly spotted after a run by Cornhuskers running back Emmett Johnson. The ball carrier crossed the 37-yard line, and a first down should have been awarded to Nebraska. Replay should have stopped the game to review the spot since it involved the line to gain.
So it failed 2 separate
That's
times.
right. So for people who want like ref press conferences and like more transparency and like, you're just going to get more mad because I look at this statement.
Do you feel better?
I look at this statement and the statement says, that's right. We got it wrong.
Sue us.
It's no more than an acknowledgement that they got it wrong, which actually doesn't make it better. Thank you for telling me you got it wrong. I appreciate that. Yes, the clock should have stopped, or yes, they should have buzzed down for replay. And yes, they got the ball spotted super duper wrong, off by multiple feet, multiple yards,
multiple guardrails in place, fell apart.
And we missed it all. But so I just wanted to acknowledge that. Here's our statement, and I hope you guys have a great day. Sincerely, the Big Ten Conference. Have you heard about our kickoff times this week?
I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna like mail bill collectors like, you are correct. I did not pay you the money I owed you this month. Good on you for noticing. No, we still need the money. Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you're telling me there's nothing you could actually do about this? It's just you wanted to acknowledge that it happened and that you were wrong. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate your correspondence.
So, Connor, I'm going to ask a question, and I don't mean to out anyone when I do this.
All right.
I genuinely don't. I'm just trying to figure out what is happening.
Okay.
All of the scribes
Yeah.
are sending out this information because they all got the press release at the same time, and I understand how
They
that
were
works.
handed the press release and a physical copy
Yes.
from Kerry Kenny.
Everyone is sharing a photo of the press release and not
not a screenshot.
So they're assembled at the Matt Rhule
That's
presser.
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Physical press releases.
Keith Mann came into the room and he said, "Hey, I just got something from the Big Ten, and here it is." And then they all grabbed it and took pictures of it.
Hey, you got to get the info out.
You could type it.
It is fairly short.
Yeah. Yep. Or you could just summarize it.
Yeah. Oh, Mitch Sherman typed it.
You could now Mitch is very cool, and he has the check mark. So he could type as much as he wanted to.
That's true.
Right? Some people don't have that capability, which I understand. And the easiest way to do it is to take a picture.
I am being told that if you do not crop that photo before you send it out, you are sharing the cell phone number of the Big Ten's chief of officiating.
No, that's the CO. That's Kerry Kenny. So he is just the representative. He is just the Why are we getting a phone call? He is just the representative of the conference when they put out stuff like that. And yes, in the photo that many of our local media have shared is the cell phone of one Kerry Kenny, who doesn't need to be called. Doesn't need to be called by anybody. So no, that number should not have been out there. That is true.
Let's call him.
Hey, so yeah, it looks like it looks like whoever, when you put that out there first, it looks like there has been a tweet to kind of redo it,
Interesting.
Guys, this is for the media. Why is it?
I got to be first.
Why?
Because then I'll get all the retweets.
It's a GD press release
about officiating, which is something we care about more than anything else in our lives right now, Connor.
It is
more than my own child.
It's a press release.
The Big Ten admitted they were wrong. That never happens, Connor. I have to tell everyone first. You're in the news game. You know how it works. Need those clicks.
When you say it like that, I don't. Well, maybe that is the motivation. I don't know what the motivation is.
And then we can play a promo that says, "We told you first."
Yeah, but they can't, and they won't. Why do we do this to ourselves? We're all assembled in the same place, and we're gonna start. Josh, that keyboard is not going to be okay if you keep hammering.
It's already not okay. It's a property of Energy Media Omaha.
So you're saying just by the fact that it's aware that it's a property of Energy Media Omaha, it just stops working correctly? Interesting accusation and summarization. Jill says Carrie, who I've talked to on several occasions at various events, is the representative of the assistant of the manager of officiating. So Carrie probably doesn't want his phone number out there. That's true.
Many people are commenting what an odd name that is.
Carrie Kenny?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys don't know half of it with the Big Ten Conference. You guys know about Francois McGillicuddy?
No, that's made up.
Nah, that's a real name, Josh.
No.
He's like the director of Fox or something like that. His name is literally Francois McGillicuddy.
That must be a screen.
Google it. Google it and see what you get. See what his title is on LinkedIn. Francois McGillicuddy.
Why do you people keep referencing LinkedIn with me?
I don't know.
What?
That's
not a thing people use.
It's where people put their jobs.
Is it?
I'm getting messages on LinkedIn right now, Josh. What? People are messaging me on LinkedIn. Some
president, Francois McGillicuddy.
Yeah, he's like the guy.
That's a fake name. I refuse to believe that.
And so they put the statements out. Like, does the statement make you feel better? No.
Poll question: do you feel better?
Nobody does. It actually makes you feel worse. And then you know how people are going to respond to this. So the Nebraska media is sending out weirdo screenshots of all this. They're going to say, well, do they have any comments on offensive pass interference and the 17 other things that they got? I've just received an email from Brian. Did they apologize for the pass interference calls?
No. Mitch Sherman has a tweet about that.
They're not going to.
The Big Ten.
They don't
no
have
comment.
to. Amazing stuff. Meanwhile, we're all waiting for Matt Rhule to talk, and it's 12:15. Poll questions up at Happer Show. Do you feel better? Matt Rhule's Monday press conference is coming up, I think, on the other side on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, you guys can blame Matt Rhule for what's about to happen because he's still not talking.
Oh, no.
And until he talks, I'm talking about basketball.
Oh,
There.
God.
These are the new rules of the show.
Oh.
Until Matt Rhule gets up to that podium and starts talking about whatever from this past weekend, I'm talking about basketball. And my fantasy team and gambling, and I'm just going to make this hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Rhule.
Thank God. Are you serious?
Yeah, actually.
All right, here he is.
Basketball
talk will be later.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
Kenneth says Blue Jay basketball. It's on the air. You see them? They beat Purdue. Oh, hi, Matt.
Obviously, a great football game this past Saturday. As I said after the game, I was proud of the guys for the effort and all the things that they brought forth, the resiliency during the game. At the same time, we made key mistakes, all three phases that didn't allow us to win the game. So we started this morning working to correct those, try to get better for UCLA. Really an excellent, talented football team that's had a really, really tough schedule, playing their best football of late. So we have our work cut out for us. So we'll try to make the improvements from the Ohio State game to the UCLA game the same way we did from Indiana to Ohio State. So with that, I'll see what questions you guys have.
On Saturday, you felt like it was the first time, felt the championship mindset in the locker room. What kind of intangibles go into that, and how do you kind of instill that same mindset for the rest of the year?
It's really hard to play with the confidence to understand that, hey, if I don't make mistakes, I'll win. At the same time, play without being afraid of making mistakes. So you have to have this fearless part of you that runs right up to the edge, and you're willing to go over the edge. You're willing to put yourself at risk and be vulnerable to failure. That's the only way to actually be successful. And so saw a bunch of guys that just wanted to go back out and keep playing. And when I said that, there's been lots of times I've seen glimpses of it. I just saw a whole team united in that moment. So I think it came from the players, and to them, it's a real credit.
Expect to have Ramir or Tommy back this week?
I don't know Tommy. Ramir's back. He'll practice tomorrow.
We hadn't seen Dylan scramble a whole bunch this season until that game. He had mentioned that you guys saw maybe something on film, but he also mentioned that there was a kind of a focus on him doing that in practice. Is that something that he just added to his repertoire this weekend? I mean, it looked pretty good when he did it.
Yeah, I think one of the key things from Dylan is he can do it, right? He has, he can do it, and he has the ability to scramble and look down the field, but then also take advantage and run. I think one of the really cool things I'm having a chance to experience with him is watching him grow each week. I think in the Indiana game, there was a play where he started to scramble and stopped and threw it back. And as I watched the game with him, he's like, I should have run it there. And I don't even know if that's right or not, but that's what he took away from it. So I think he every week is trying to find 1, 2, 3 things to improve upon. We heard Coach Day's press conference last week, and we heard him talk about why, when I watch their defense, I think it's, they look like a big time defense. They were taking a lot of questions about why, about their defense. And he talked about doing some different things. And we were all kind of like, you play a team coming off a bye. It's like, you better be ready for anything to come out. There was way more man-free pressure. Usually, Larry Johnson defenses is 4-man rush and, hey, let's go eat. There was way more pressure. And so part of that was him navigating that, recognizing that in the game. But when you bring man-free pressure, if you pick them all up, there's no one for the quarterback. And so he got out and he took off and ran. And, to me, it's like Dylan's got like an algorithm in his brain. And so every time you add something to it, it's like, hey, I can do this against this. So he added it. So in terms of during practice, I just think he's always trying to improve, get better.
From the UTEP game until the last drive against Ohio State.
Better and better and better. I mean, so much of that game was, hey, getting the right play here, getting the right play there. You think about, you're a freshman quarterback. You go out in front of 100,000 people, all of whom have a feeling about you because maybe you were once committed there. Another one of your freshmen drops the opening kickoff return. You start with the ball on the 8-yard line. You bobble the opening kickoff. And what I loved about what Dylan did was he just settled down, right? He gave us chances. If you go back over the last 4 games and you calculate in all the defensive pass interference yardage we've gotten because we throw so many go balls, that would add into kind of what he's done passing game wise. But I think the things that he sees, the things that he's improving upon, this is there's no better teacher than experience. I think he's getting a ton of experience, and they threw a lot of things at him this week. Rutgers threw a lot of things at him. They threw a lot of things at him this week, though, more than he's seen in the past. And I thought he adjusted and handled it really well.
He's clearly shown that he has the ability to drop those balls in on some of those lofted throws. On the couple that, at least the one to Banks that he missed, what kind of discussions have you had with him, or have you heard him have in being able to hit those, and what leads to that being fixing that?
Yeah, I think when you look at that, you're talking about the play, the wheel route down the sideline, the rub route down the sideline. I think that was a play, and he could probably speak to it better tomorrow. I think that was a play where, they're bringing all that pressure, like they're bearing down on you. The Wolves are at the door, because he came out, he saw 3-over-3 man, he recognized the leverage, he checked to that. That wasn't a call. That's an option he has. He checked to it, and I think he just sped up and said, "Hey, I got it," and let it rip, and so just missed the throw. So part of this teaching is is going back and looking at all the things you do well. He has the ability to go back and look at all the things he does well, and the things you do well should give you confidence. The things you don't do well, that's what spurs you forward. And so, he missed that throw, and then just kind of like a why. Like, hey, why did you miss it? Was it bad mechanics? Was it that you sped up because you saw these things and you knew you had a touchdown, you want to get the ball out of your hand? So when I watch the game with him, I watch the game with him usually in a different light, kind of as the head coach. Glenn's going to do all the football stuff. But for me, it's always like, hey, here's these 6, 7, 8 plays. How do we – why did they happen? Does that make sense? And so I'll let him tell you, his thoughts on it, because, but to me, I just think, you have people coming at you, you see him open, he knows what's going to happen a lot of times before it happens, and sometimes that anticipation leads you to hurry. And I thought he didn't hurry.
Dante ran it, and did you find some things in the run game in the second half that you liked that maybe you can push forward?
Yeah, it goes back to what I said last week. When people don't really blitz us and pressure us, we're a good running team. We struggle when people pressure us. Dylan did a good job of when they weren't pressuring us, getting to the right run. We ran some wham plays and some trap plays, which are really good plays. We got the ball to the second level. We need at some point one of these plays to go for 80. And I'm not throwing anyone at it. It's just like that's what we're working on every day. We're working on constant. Now, Dante, he's a big back. He's going to punish you, right? And then the Ramirez and Emmets come in and they hopefully make you miss and take it further. But I thought in many ways there were some really good things in there in the plan. And then part of it is then when they do pressure you, you're throwing those fades, you're throwing those go balls, you're trying to take advantage of man coverage, hoping to hit them. And we hit some. We got some pass interference that extended drives on others.
Matt, you received a statement back from the Big Ten on officiating call on the Emmett Johnson run. I mean, just what were your conversations like with the league and Troy with the league just over the last 24 hours?
Well, I'll first say this. I commend the league for putting out a statement. The worst thing I can do is get up here when I'm trying to get our team to turn forward to UCLA and be talking about, the calls that went against us in a loss. I think that's very forward thinking of, Commissioner Petiti and of Bill Carollo, who's the head of officiating. And I think it's what should be done. We all just want transparency in everything, right? Hey, I come here, you guys ask me what happened on this play, what happened on that play, right? And to do my best to be transparent and answer them. So I appreciate the statement. That was a game, you guys hear us talk about situational football. We're trying to master the last drive of the half, the last drive of the game. When you have one timeout and you think it's a spot, it just makes it hard to coach, right? So that was difficult, and they addressed it, and that's really all I want. I will say this: I think one of the hardest jobs in the world right now is to be an official. I grew up in an era when I played college football. I stood next to Coach Paterno. The officials went out there; they had their whistles, they threw their flags. There weren't 52 camera angles because every game's on national TV. There weren't, they threw the flag and you lived with it, right? And, Coach Paterno would yell at the officials and, just kind of that's how the football was. And now, now you in a world where, now we have instant replay. And the first instant replay was, overturn the egregious stuff. And now now we can fix things. Like last week, there was 3 seconds on the clock and all of a sudden, now there was 6 seconds against Indiana. So now as an official, when I'm calling the game on controversial calls as if, well, what happens if it does get overturned? So they go with Like if it's close to being a fumble, they think the guy's down. They might, they're kind of instructed to call the fumble so that the play continues and then replay can overturn it. But replay, if it's close, will go with the call that stood, which even though that might not be what the official thought. So the amount of things that must be in those guys' heads, God bless them. And then 100,000 people and they're running backwards trying to say, is it DPI? Is it OPI? Right now, it used to be the officials have to go over and talk to each other. Now they have a microphone and they're talking to each other during the game and they're confirming things. And it just, I feel for them, so I'm never going to get up here and complain about judgment calls. That's not my thing. I've been upset, or I've talked about really replay. Like last year, we had 3 replays that the next day they said, hey, replay was wrong. That's hard for me, right? And it used to be replay was in your own building. You'd see the replay official before the game. He was going to go up and make the call. Now replay goes off to a central site somewhere, and it's probably the best system in the world. I just, I advocate for the players. I advocate for the coaches. I'm also going to advocate for the 8 guys out there calling the game. I'm going to sit there and give them my opinion at times. I never cross the line. I do want to say this because my daughters and, I want every person in Norfolk and Tacoma and everywhere in the state. Both times I've gotten a flag this year, the next day they said never should have been a flag. So I don't disrespect officials. I stay on the field. I coached the way I've coached the last 12 years, aggressive, but defendant and no one on my sideline talks to the officials. Officials will always tell you we're disciplined. So I appreciate the statement. But I do want to say it must be really hard to be out there making those calls. And there was a really controversial OPI in the Ohio State-Oregon game, right? And they called offensive pass interference. And so what ends up happening is over the next couple of weeks, the officials, there's all these points of emphasis and all this stuff, and they're talking about OPI, and they're talking about OPI, and all of a sudden we show up and we get 2 OPIs, on the last drive of the half and on the last drive of the game. Now, you guys have watched this. I don't know how many OPIs we've had this year, offensive pass interference. But these points of emphasis, that kind of hit you each week, something happens and we change the kickoff return mechanics. Like as a coach, I can't change what an 18-year-old does or a 22-year-old does on 3 days notice. We went through camp. We go through all the officiating training. Officials come to practice. We're told to do things a certain way. And then as the season goes on, as things happen, man, the officials have to adjust. Well, we have to adjust. And all of a sudden you get into a game like this and all this stuff happens. So I appreciate the transparency. I do want to make sure everyone understands where I stand, though. I advocate for the officials. I think we should let them call the game, and it shouldn't be all this. It shouldn't change as much as it does based upon this and that. We should just let them call the games and live with the result, right? Like we live with the players' result. So I appreciate that. Some tough things went against us. We've had replay go against us. We've had my penalties go against us. I don't want any more apologies on Sunday. Like it can't happen against UCLA. Can't happen against Iowa. These things can't happen moving forward. And so I'm very forward thinking. I appreciate, Bill, I appreciate Tony, I appreciate Troy, I appreciate everybody, but it can't keep happening to us. It needs to be fair. And that's not about the guys making judgment calls. They got a tough job. I just want to tell us what the rules are and we'll kind of go from there. And so that's my take. I hope it's okay that I say that, but we're not going to sit here and whine about, whether it was a hold or not. During the game, I'm going to yell when they false started. I yelled, hey, that's a false start. Like that's a not hold, no hold. That's a false start. But then the play's over. We play the next play, and we got to play better. Before we can worry about the officials, we need to worry about ourselves.
A lot of success with those kids from Miami. We haven't talked as much about Willis, but he played some quality snaps for you. How have you seen him progress as the season has gone along?
Yeah, Willis is earning it. I think it's the biggest thing. Like he's so talented, he's earning it with his preparation and what he does in practice. It's a hard position because you're really playing 3 or 4 positions. Sometimes you're a DN, sometimes you're an outside linebacker, sometimes you're a will backer. And I think he's got great mentorship in that room from MJ. And I thought, we got production out of him, which was awesome. So, his snaps will continue to go up. And the biggest thing is, like I said, I'm proud of him because he's earning them. He's earning the snaps. Like it's not just his talent, it's his production, which comes from what he does in practice. I've been really pleased with him in practice. And I think you'll see a lot more of him moving forward.
You guys are 2/3 of the way through the season. Season goes really fast, right? But if you could maybe summarize what you think you guys are really good at on both sides of the ball, and maybe special teams too. Do you have a sense of that, or is it still a little bit in flux based on the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think we faced 2 top 10 teams the last 2 weeks, right? And it's way, as I said after the game, it's way easier to focus on what we're not good at than what we are good at. I think for me, the best thing to do is just focus on UCLA right now. I think honestly, Sam, to be quite honest, I think this week will tell us where we are coming off those last 2 weeks. then when we hit the next bye, I think we can see kind of, hey, down this 3-game stretch, everything that we do is we talk to our guys about, hey, football and college football is about November, December, and January, right? Like, we beat Colorado and everyone left Colorado for dead, and Colorado's alive and kicking, man. They're doing a great job, right? And when we played them, we were like, man, they're pretty good on defense, and they're pretty good here. So, we've been through all these good things, these bad things, these tough moments, these hard moments. And here we are, we have 4 games left. Games that in the preseason, probably a lot of people thought, they'll be underdogs in these games. They'll struggle to beat these teams. We'll find out. We're going to play them. I will say, I think our team, our mindset, we learned a lot the last 2 weeks, right? Like we learned a lot the last 2 weeks. And now we have to carry it forward against UCLA and get to a bye week and then play 3 more. So, the same intensity we had last week because we were embarrassed 56-7. We have to have that same intensity this week. And that's when you hear me talk about process and all those things. Sometimes when players are young, they think I'm saying, hey, it's okay to lose, just do your best. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like Coach Paterno said, wake up every day running scared. All I focus on in our offices, Sam, is what aren't we good at? Not what we're good at. You know what I mean? Like in there, I'm like, hey, we got to fix this. We got to fix that. We got to fix this. You just hope over time they get less and less and less. As it pertains to UCLA, they're going to challenge you with their run defense. Like they are big and physical and athletic on defense, and teams that normally run the ball really well struggle to run it against them. And then they pressure you and play man. All the things that at times have bothered us. So this is a real opportunity for us this week to show that we fix some of those things. And then offensively they are a sophisticated. It's a sophisticated offense that can run the football, but really, really can throw it as well with a sophisticated NFL passing offense. So, for all the good things we did, we gave up 3 explosive plays in the passing game last week. We'll have to show that we can handle that. And then special teams wise, we're making such great growth in some areas. And then all of a sudden something pops up like field and kickoff returns all of a sudden, so we have to continue to find a way to make plays in those areas. Johnny kept us in the game. So just keep finding the next thing to improve. So that probably doesn't necessarily answer your question, but I think the best thing that we do as a team is we improve. We get better at the things that are beating us. The guys came in today like very focused on what didn't we do as opposed to what did we do.
Loaded question: how much better do you have to get in this screen game?
I'll be very humble when I say this. I completely understand why people are frustrated, right? Completely, Same time, what I would say is you go block that front without throwing a couple screens and tell me, okay. I mean, they're dominant, absolutely dominant. There's some kids that feel really bad on our team because they see the heat that Sat's taking or I'm taking or whoever, and they know that they had a missed assignment. If they had blocked the man-to-man defender, the ball would have gone for about 50. So that being said, you have some things built in like, hey, we're running this play. If they bring 0 blitz, throwing a screen. That's what kind of most people do. And they threw the screen and we just didn't make the block or whatever. So we look at everything like we have to be better as coaches. Like it always starts with us. There's one thing you're not allowed to do in our building. You could never say the players weren't good enough. You can never say, oh, so-and-so, he's not good enough. So yeah, it wasn't good enough. The screen game wasn't good enough, to have 2 on the final drive. I can understand why people would be frustrated about that. We came out and threw the go ball to Jamal and got the offense. He caught it. And we had the ball on the 45-yard line. We got the offensive pass interference. We came out. We threw the backside in cut versus cover 2. The targeting play. We get the ball. They came out. They played man. We went to the screen. So I wish we could go back on those things. But yeah, I mean the screen game hasn't been terrible for us, but it was not very good for us in that game. And it's just one of those things come out of the game as coaches, and you're like, hey, we really thought going into that game we were going to need to be able to screen them because of their pass rush. Even plays like like we were putting Wood in motion and running as fast as we could and blocking their DN and handing the Bonner and handing the ball off. He missed one in a crucial time, but yet they weren't quite running up the field and rushing us as much as they were because they had to play the screens. They had to so much of football to me is complimentary. There's things I really regret from that game. Some of the play calls we called, some of the defenses we called, but that's ball, man. So I don't know if that answers the question, but it wasn't good enough. It hurt us in crucial situations. We got to be better. we went into it with a plan, thinking we needed to be able to do that. And in the key moments at the end of the game, it didn't work out.
How much do you make a big deal about 6 wins? I mean, you guys had cracks at it last year. You've had a couple cracks against top 10 teams this year. Do you make it a point of emphasis?
Yeah.
And figure out what it means.
Yeah, no, I really, I believe everything happens to you for a reason. We were 5-3 last year, and we were playing Michigan State, and we lost. Then we lost the rest of them, right? And so we were chasing something. To me, we went out to Indiana. We were 5-1. I felt like the guys were maybe chasing something a little bit. That's why I said I didn't do a good enough job of having them in the right mindset. Indiana got after us. We came back last week. We were playing to play. Like, we were freed up to, like, hey, we gotta redeem our name. We gotta play for pride and play with heart and character, and that's what you saw. So I won't talk about anything other than that this week. You learned what it looks like against Ohio State. So carry it forward, and we'll do that each and every week.
I asked you last week about the defensive film against Indiana. I want to be fair to ask you again this week. What did you see on film against Ohio State that popped out at you from your defense?
Well, I think it starts with you should start with stopping the run, but I think a very important thing, because I've talked about it a lot here, is if you want to run the football, you have to be good on third down. Because if it's 2nd and 7, you're probably going to run the ball to get it to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. And you better be able to convert those. And for us to be 1 of 10, hold them to 1 of 10 on third down, to me, never allowed Coach Kelly and Coach Day to call multiple runs and try to wear us. Because really, when you watch what they do, they throw the ball on the perimeter, they try to wear you out, and then they come downhill and run it right at you. I thought our guys won third down, so we were able to get off the field. And that way we covered them. We did a good job. We also stopped the run, right? I mean, so I think those two things go in hand. We stopped the run. We got off the field on third down. The key Achilles heel was we gave up, 3 big plays, and it's hard to win versus quality offense when you give up big plays. Which goes back to kind of when you guys asked me about offense. I say, hey, we're not creating enough big plays, right? So but I thought that's what the defense did well, and I think when you watch some of the guys play, I thought it was the best our defense looked, not the results. I thought it was the best some of our guys on defense have looked to this date. They played with a unique, just relentlessness that now they've put it on tape. So they have a standard now that they have to match.
UCLA is making this transition to a new conference. You did that right when you were from the MAC to the AAC. I mean, how challenging is it for a team like UCLA to make a transition into a league like the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, it's even me coming here last year, right? And it's your first time in the Big Ten, learning the structures, learning the personalities, learning the towns, learning the travel, learning the style of play, learning the weather. All those things matter, So, I think when you go into a new conference, you're kind of trying to figure out, hey, who wins in this conference? The unique thing here is I think we've all joined a new conference. Like I said, think about who we're playing this week. You guys have been covering Nebraska for a long time. Seeing a Nebraska-Ohio State game is pretty common, right? But having that followed up by, UCLA then USC is not common. So I think we all are just kind of in this period of trying to recognize, what the conference is, the effects of travel. Imagine had this been an 11 o'clock game for them, right? They'd be kicking off when I was at UCLA, we went and played Kansas. It was an 11 a.m. start. We had a 5 a.m. West Coast wake up time. That was a challenge. So I think all those things are, unique. And then how it affects you in recruiting. I think when you go to different conferences, you're trying to figure out where you want to recruit. Because when we talk to kids now in California, they know that they're probably going to have Nebraska go out to California every year. We're probably going to have a USC or UCLA game every year. And so that can be a cool thing in recruiting. So, we're trying to do that. I'm sure they're trying to figure out, USC is recruiting kids here in Lincoln, Omaha. So just changes kind of the whole footprint, I think, of everything. And then I think the whole thing, I think we're all seeing a whole different version of college football now moving forward, right? I think every team in the SEC has a loss, though there's still 3 unbeatens in our league, or 2? Is there 2, 3? So that'll probably at some point change because some of those guys are playing each other. So I think just college football in general is changing.
Would you and Tony White have ever found each other if it wasn't for UCLA?
No. We didn't spend much time together there. That's what's unique about it. Just kind of he's just a really good dude. So when I met him, we kind of hung out a little bit. And then as he was in coaching, we actually reconnected a couple years ago because a player was leaving Baylor, transferring out. and they were going to take him. So we talked on the phone a bunch about it. And I just love what he's done as a coach. I love what he did at Syracuse, and I think the job he did last week is really a lot. Sometimes you talk about coordinators becoming head coaches, and being a coordinator and being a head coach are like two completely different things. Like I've given those analogies before. I thought what he did last week to get his guys back and ready to play was head coach like. You know what I mean? Like that's what head coaches do. They've got to have their teams bounce back from adversity and not be complacent with success. And so I thought Tony did a great job in that. But yeah, it was good. He was a good player, but really good coach in person.
With back-to-back road games in the bye week in there too, it's going to be almost a month in between home games. Has it seemed like that long for you and the team?
Yeah, no doubt, it definitely has. As I told you guys once before, when we're on the road, I tell you how much I love being on the road when we're at home. But even like last game, my kids didn't get to see it. My daughters weren't there; they were at Husker volleyball. I like being here. I like our fans. I like our families. And at the end of that game, you go back in that game, we have 3 or 4 snap issues in that game that hurt us in crucial moments. Being at home with our crowd and the crowd noise and all that, it's really an advantage for us. I was hoping it was going to be windy and snowy, but whatever it is, it'll be great, and it'll be great to be back home.
Hey, Thomas Fidoni's maybe had 2 of his better games the last 2 weeks. More chemistry with Dylan. He's getting open. What do you?
Yeah, that's a great question. It kind of came to us like it came to me and they came to Sat like maybe 3-4 weeks ago and was like, what do I need to do? And he blocks. He's a complete tight end, but he wanted to catch the ball more. And I think when you see what he's done in the last couple weeks, and we talked a lot about just focusing on like some certain aspects of route running, and then I think Sat's done a really good job of being like, hey, what's he great at? And it's just got such great long speed, getting him down the field, but he also can run out of breaks. And so, he won in man last week, on the hook route against Indiana on 3rd and 8 on the goal line, right? And I think it's been showing up in practice. So I think Dylan has a lot of confidence in him. That route, that was man. That route last week was man. He won in man. He ran an option route, saw zone, sat it down. So I just think he's a relentless guy in terms of wanting to be great. He's always seeking to improve. And I think giving him a couple specific things like, hey, let's work on this. Then he's done that. I think Dylan feels it. I think the coaches feel it. And so now they're always trying to get him, involved. And the thing is when you start catching the football as a tight end, they start trying to take you away. And so he ran through that contact last week and made a great play. And hopefully we can get him a couple more things.
I know that maybe the numbers aren't quite there yet, but you guys are using him in some different situations. How have you seen him progress in his sophomore year?
Yeah, I think Jalen's an excellent receiver. Had the hamstring in the summer and in fall camp. Missed some time. I think he's really got a good connection now. You go back to that play even on the goal line. Like when to put the ball in his hands. And he gets hit at the 4. He drags it down to the 1.5 yard line. I think you'll see him just continue to emerge. I don't not say develop, emerge. Get more and more opportunities. We have some guys on the scout team that are Malachi and Quinn Clark and Isaiah McMorris, and those guys they're developing. This is the kind of year we have to take advantage. We lost Barrett Liebentritt for the year. Starting fullback, who's been such a key part of our short yardage and goal line game. So we had to go over on the touchdown. Unfortunately, on the one we got stopped, but also on the one we scored. Elijah Judy and Ty Robinson had to step out there and play fullback for us. So this is a time of year where guys, we took Caleb Benning on the road this week. We took Braylon Pruitt on the road this week. We took Donovan Jones, guys who we feel like are really emerging. Amari Sanders. This is the time where some of those guys, their 4-game red shirts are kind of available to you now, and so you might see some of those guys stepping into some roles.
What's the injury?
He broke a bone in his back. Yeah, really almost one of the best blocks I think I've ever seen. And he's been like I said, he's been a key part of what we do. And so he'll be out. I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks. So it's not like life. I mean, he'll be fine, but he'll miss the season.
And what was the response from the team to your philosophical comments after the game?
Yeah, I didn't talk to them about that.
No, I didn't know if they.
No, I haven't talked. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I have a really, I think, close relationship with most of the guys, and most of my conversations with them are kind of like one-on-one, and I didn't really, I didn't really bring that up. More like, my question, I will share this with you. My question to all the guys has been, well, what did you learn this past week? And I think a lot of them learned that, hey, we belong. We can play with anybody when we do X, Y, and Z. And then my second question is like, well, then what happened 2 weeks ago? And I think the one thing we're learning is, and it's what I know. A lot of things I take. I know I've said this all. Don't play the logos. Indiana's an elite team, and Ohio State. When we knew it was Ohio State, we had a chance to play them, right? So don't play the logo, and just go play the guys. And I know our guys know that sometimes they have to go through this to gain the confidence to recognize that, like, hey, I played really well against Ohio State. I'm a good player. I should carry that forward. So. I don't know about you guys. You guys have kids. I don't know if you tell your kids. I don't know how often they listen to you. My son's a freshman. I don't know how often he listens to me. Sometimes young people have to do it themselves before they decide, okay, this is true. And so we're in that stage, and we didn't panic after Indiana. We're not going to panic now. We're going to try to go beat UCLA this week. 1-0.
So take the logos off. You played them both back-to-back weeks. Which team do you find more challenging?
You can't get me to answer that one. That's a heck of a try.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Landmine week I thought was last week. It's tough. That was a tough one, Sam. Just say no thank you. Not gonna talk about that.
No thank you. This press conference is over.
I will not be commenting on which team is better, Ohio State or Indiana. Probably for the best. We're not going to ruffle any feathers. But he did ruffle some feathers elsewhere, like in Norfolk. Ouch. Why did you go to Norfolk?
Yeah, why was that? Why
just
why
go
not
to Scotts Bluff,
Papillion,
go to
Valentine,
go to Ord, Milford. Something easy.
York.
Yeah, or get one that you could have knocked out of the park, Beatrice. Right?
They're feeling some kind of way after Joe Buck.
Right.
Mispronounced him.
Carney. Yeah. A lot of people get Carney wrong. Carney. But you went to Norfolk.
You went to the highest difficulty level.
Try again. All right, so me and Matt Rhule are total bros. And just handshake memeing on this ref stuff. Because what did he say? He said, I got a lot of respect for those guys, but he said, I respect that. But it's not really about them. Here is the bullet points that I wrote down on this whole officiating deal. And then we're going to talk about screenplays too. He says, by the way, this is big Rhule overreaction. We're going to stay here until we talk to Sam coming up in the next segment. We got about 5 minutes.
We're in
it. He said this multiple times. Thank you for the statement. He said, I commend the league for putting out a statement. I appreciate the statement. I respect that, basically. He says, we just want transparency. I appreciate the statement. We're just trying to master the last drive of the half. It makes it hard to coach. They addressed it. That's really all I want. It's hard to be an official. Now every game is on TV and there's instant replay. Last year we had 3 replays where they came back the next day and said the call was wrong. Both times I got a flag, they came back and said that it shouldn't have been a flag. I appreciate the statement. Once again, I appreciate the statement. There was a controversial OPI, and this is a really good point, and I think this is absolutely true. He goes, what he didn't say was we live in a very reactionary world, Josh. Remember when that rule got changed? Just poof, we changed a rule.
That's right.
He goes, there was a
Dan Lanning loophole.
He goes, there was a controversial OPI in the Oregon Ohio State game, and then all of a sudden we get 2 OPIs. It becomes a point of emphasis. Yeah. It ain't their fault.
Consider it emphasized.
So we can on one hand come back and say officiating has never been in a worse place than it is right now. It's true. Officiating has never been in a worse place than it is right now. But it's not because of the officials. It's not because the officials are bad. It's because they are constantly put in bad positions by the people who run the damn thing. Because we're so reactionary to rule changes. There's instant replay everywhere. There's 700 television angles. Everything is easily criticizable. And we want to change things constantly, 24/7. So the officials now have all this. Remember, Josh, officials used to be just like normal dudes. They would just like have a job Monday through Friday, and they would get shipped out to a game on Saturday. there wouldn't be all this time to go back and look at the things that went right and the things that went wrong. There's conference meetings, there's conference calls that these guys have to be on all the time. These guys and gals have to be on all the time, and they are scrutinized to the highest level. Here's what you got back from coaches. Here's what you got back from us. Let's take a look at it. Here's what needs to be changed. And then, because I know how this works, because I've been in official meetings before. They
brag.
Unfortunately, they used to invite me to these. They don't anymore post-COVID, by the way.
Interesting.
They don't open those doors anymore. But they talk about, here's the things that the league wants us to look at here. And so even in those individual games, you will see things that the league has said, here has been an issue, watch for it. And you know what happens when they watch for it? They call it. They call it because it's a point of emphasis.
That's right.
There should be no such thing as a point of emphasis in officiating. No one thing should be more emphasized than any other thing. You just call the game. They are put in an ass position by their bosses. Ass. Absolute ass. Josh, it's not Giancarlo's fault.
It's not Giancarlo's fault.
It's not. It's Bill Carollo or whoever the hell that guy is, or Francois McGillicuddy. It's not the ref's fault. And so that's it. Like, that's basically what Rhule is getting at in a less emotional way. I'm very emotional about it because I think it's hard for them.
I like it.
Because of situations that are not in their control. I'm
fine with the boilerplate. Officials have a tough job because they do. They do have a tough job. This is such a big money entity now that I believe there needs to be some more accountability that, hey, here's a press release. We bleeped it up. Sorry.
But it's not the officials. It's their bosses.
Mm-hmm.
It's the head of officials.
I need a head on a pike.
Adam Carolla, the actor, the comedian. Yeah, he could be the guy. Put him out there.
The podcast host.
He would have some controversial things to say.
He would.
That's for sure. How about this from the Admiral? Remember the Admiral?
The music venue?
No, the person.
Oh,
remember Ted?
Ted Carter.
Yeah,
Admiral.
Ted's back at it. He is named Chris Kaborik, his senior vice president for administration and planning. Remember Chris Kaborik? He was at Nebraska.
He was. Yeah.
Interesting.
He handled some
transition.
Things.
Yeah. CJ says, I missed the Man Show. Bill Carollo.
Well, we know you missed the Man Show. That's why we're proud to present you Girls Jumping on Trampolines.
That's right.
Roll that B-roll.
That's right. What a show.
What's that? No, we don't have that?
What a show.
Here's Carl Malone.
All right. We got to take a break. There's more. We got to talk about the stupid screen game thing. You know who's got good thoughts on the screen game and football topics?
Sam McKewon.
That's right. That's exactly right. Great guess, Josh. Well done. You can take the rest of the afternoon off.
Thank you.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone with Sam. All right, welcome back. 1 o'clock hour of the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, and 1620thezone.com. Here's Kenneth on YouTube, and I don't know if Kenneth is talking to us or talking to the rest of the callers. So let me just be clear about what I was saying in the last segment there. Kenneth says, do you guys really believe officials get walking orders from their respective leagues to mess up calls intentionally? He also says, I'm here to tell you as a retired official at the college level, it's just not true. I'm aware that that's not true. And that's definitely, once again, I don't know if Kenneth was talking to me or he's talking to the rest of the group on the comments. I know that's not the case. What I'm saying about the officials and their bosses is that the officials are put in a horrible position by their bosses for the constant changing and massaging and manipulating of the rule book, the constant replay additions that television has brought on, and the necessity from in that category for the pressures that are brought on by the public, and the constant different emphases. I thought Rhule made a great point about the constant emphases that are always coming down, right? Hey, we got an OPI in this game that was controversial. And so then they get on a conference call the next week and they're asked, the officials are talking about, oh, well, we got to watch out for these OPIs that happened in that game. So it's an emphasis. All of a sudden, bang, it gets called, and it's an emphasis. There should never be an emphasis on anything. It's just call the game. Call the game. No emphasis. Call the game. I know they get massaged and they get asked by coaches during the games like, hey, watch for this. Okay. All right. It's noted. It's a mental note. And that's part of the deal. That's part of the game. But as far as it coming on from the bosses and all, it's just gotten way too much. Way too much. There's way too much on these guys. And they're put in a bad spot. All right. Sam McKewon is with us now. He joins via the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Hi, Sam. What's up?
Not much. Interesting comments indeed today. We thought Troy Dannon was going to talk, but Troy was in there, but he did not.
Really?
He kind of talked to. Yeah, he talked to some reporters off to the side. So I think you're going to see some additional stuff from him, but he did not go up front. But the AD was in there watching as well. Interesting. It was,
really? Regarding officials?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he'll show up. His comments may show up in a story or two. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But he did not give us. We thought he was going to give a statement up front, but he did not. Rhule kind of addressed it. I understood the gist of what Rhule's getting at. I think what he's getting at is we need to go back to just calling football games and stop worrying about.
That's right.
But it's never going back.
No, it's definitely not going back.
No. The one thing you could change, and I didn't ask him this question because I think the answer is too easily defaults to yes, is whether you can use the Hawkeye system they use in tennis for football spotting. I don't know if you can. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's hard for me to determine, but that's the one, like, the spot thing you could probably get resolved a little better, but some of the other things in the game were just, they're up for interpretation. Those OPIs to me were bad calls.
Yep.
They just were. And he's got to deal with the aftermath of them. So
yeah,
that's the way it goes.
Well, and then what are you supposed to do about a guy on the spot thing? Well, with Emmett Johnson at the end of the first half, like it looked like he thought the wrong guy had the ball. Like he wasn't even looking at the right guy.
He wasn't, and I think you're eventually going to see the game slow down. You're going to see the officials slow the game down and slow the college football down a little bit. It runs faster than the NFL. It is not at 2008 speed. Like in 2008, it was insane. It was Baylor was running plays every whatever second.
Yep.
The officials weren't doing anything. That's changed now, where the officials are managing the game better. But I think you're going to see it get to the point where it is in the NFL, where the game is just more tightly controlled from a pace standpoint, so that you're not having to, I don't know. There's a lot going on in that game. A lot of interesting calls. A lot of interesting replays. They got two games going on at once: Indiana and Washington.
I know.
Ohio State, Nebraska. I don't know how that system all works. So I don't know if they're gonna, at one point this season, they're gonna have 9 games. I don't know what week that is, but how they manage that, and we're just gonna have to see. It's certainly a topic of conversation. Nebraska probably, is pretty frustrated with the calls. They were at times last year too. I don't know that there's like a concerted effort to protect Ohio State or anything. I don't think that's in play here, but there were some questionable calls in that game for sure.
Yeah. What'd you think about his answer to the screen game question? There's obviously a bunch to unpack there, and you can see where his head's at. Like, hey, if they're gonna zero blitz, then we're not gonna not do this. Like, we're not gonna not try to do it. But Nebraska just doesn't seem like they can execute that consistently right now. Like, how do they deal with that going forward?
Yeah, it is an interesting situation, Connor. I certainly, there are certain things you do, pressure release valve plays, that help you against what Ohio State was doing. And, Nebraska didn't consistently execute those. I understand why some of those plays are happening. But again, I don't want to, how do I put this? There's some things that happen during the course of a game that's football, and maybe the argument is, well, that shouldn't be football. And that's not inaccurate per se, but it's football. And so some of what happens during a game, you can criticize it and that's fine. But what you're criticizing really is just the nature of the way that these things happen. You're not like Marcus Satterfield wasn't doing anything out of the beyond the pale in that game. I think they don't have great athletes along the line of scrimmage, and they haven't since Bill Callahan was there. If Bill Callahan's calling those screens with the Bill Callahan offensive lineman era, Bill Callahan era offensive lineman, I think people are just fine with the way those plays turn out. So some of it is the players, some of it, they're not going to sit there and say that, but some of what you do against what Ohio State was doing is pressure valve stuff.
Yeah.
One time they didn't do it, they got sacked out of a field goal range in the second half. So, they decided not to do it in that moment and run a screen, and they got sacked. So you can't necessarily please people all the time with what you're trying to do. I do wish, there were some plays in that game where Chip Kelly did some stuff that was really cool, and you'd like to see Nebraska incorporate some of that, but Chip Kelly's been around a long time, and he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, like rolling the quarterback a little bit, and I don't know, getting things going. Like when they need it, when Ohio State on their drive where they converted that 4th down, Nebraska was stuffing the run. Ohio State had an answer. It was, hey, we're gonna roll Will Howard for a step or two and get him safe, and throw it to Ibuka for 2 yards and keep our drive going. Like, it seemed easy when they needed to do that.
It did. Yeah, it did. It did seem pretty easy when they needed to do it. It was a good, good receiver running it too.
Yep.
I'm speaking more of the Jeremiah Smith touchdown. That's an awfully hard play to stop. You're really trying. That's the thing. You can run only maybe once a game, and they nailed it. And they got, I don't know, Isaac Gifford was looking for a half second, but he's the guy that's got to make that play, and that's just hard to. That's almost impossible.
Yeah, because he's coming down to stop the run, and everybody's selling out on the run, and all of a sudden that guy's behind you. You got no chance.
It's a go route from a condensed stat. It's very, very challenging, and just not generally the kind of play that defenders can make. But there's little things they did. Now Nebraska did some nice chess moves in return. They were able to slow down Ohio State's run, and Chip Kelly does what Chip Kelly does. He went away from it. They got enamored with throwing the football and trying to get early chunk plays so they could get out of their own end. And those didn't work, and then they did work. They hit one. So it was a good chess match, and Ohio State had the last move or whatever. But Nebraska should feel good about the way it came out of that game. You got to flush all that, and you got to play UCLA straight up and play UCLA like they're a really good opponent. They're not great, but you got to play them like they are, and you can't leave any doubt. This is a game where if you get up 17-3, make it 24-3, make it 31-3, make it 38-3.
Yep.
Don't even pretend to think that until the gun sounds that you're bowl eligible. You can't even afford it. So I actually think it'll be a close game, Connor, but I don't. This is not one of those games where you can peek over at the clock. You have to be relentless in the way that you pursue it.
Yeah, it'll be I'm imagining a similar situation. If Nebraska's up comfortably in that game, and then all of a sudden it just slowly starts to drain away. Think about the pressure, cooker that Ohio State put themselves in on Saturday, and what the fans did in sort of reaction. It would feel like that if Nebraska lets a lead slip away on Saturday.
For sure. Yeah, I think there's a possibility that, the game can close in like that. So Nebraska's got to be relentless on Saturday. They really got to be relentless for all of November. I think the teams they're playing are certainly not as good as Ohio State, probably not as good as Indiana, but if you give some of those teams an inch, they'll take it, and they'll take it a mile. And Iowa can put you in the earth by 30, or you can, or if you play Iowa the right way, you can beat them. Michigan State already showed that. So, you have to. We're going to find out a lot about this tenure, about the program in the next 4 weeks. We'll learn a lot. If they're 2-2, then I think everybody kind of knows it's going in the right direction. If they don't win any of them, that'd be a real concern.
Trouble.
We'll see.
What can Dylan Raiola scrambling mean for this? I mean, his confidence. I think first, I felt like it got him into the game, on Saturday, and then also just for the offensive sort of operation in general.
Well, it gives them a pressure release valve. It shows it means that you can't necessarily pressure them unrelentlessly without getting burned. And I thought he did a nice job of getting out and making a couple of nifty runs, and he's got enough athleticism to do it. I think Matt Rhule does a real nice job of talking about Dylan Raiola. I do, because I think Dylan's got room to grow.
I agree. They keep him pretty, they kind of handle it publicly very carefully.
They do, and I think they do a nice job with that. I don't really know why he wasn't running a lot of the season. So I think he probably should have been. is the best way for me to put it. And maybe he's now ready to and willing to add that to his repertoire, and become the player that I think he probably needs to become, which is more of an athlete, out there. I don't know. He just, to me, he has not uncorked himself entirely. Like, I think we've seen, 85% Raiola, but we haven't seen all that he's capable of. And I'm not sure why. And maybe over the last month we'll see that guy and he'll come alive. But it doesn't feel like we see him that often. And I'm not exactly sure maybe he would be a lot happier in a spread offense. I'm not sure, but it feels like at times he's almost trying to do the right thing versus just playing ball.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what it seems like at times, for sure. All right, Sam, we'll let you go. By the way, appreciate your question at the end of the press conference that Matt Rhule would not take the bait on, which was, who's better, Ohio State or Indiana? I liked it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, he said throw out the logos, so I'm like, all right, let's throw out the logos. What do you think? And
not doing it.
He didn't want any part of that. Probably because Ohio State's hosting Indiana in 2 weeks. You know, and of course Ohio State gets that game at home. And that's going to help Ohio State immensely in that game for sure. So,
yep.
But yeah, he didn't want to answer that question.
Fair enough. All right, Sam. See you later. Thanks.
All right, you bet. Bye.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. I would like to just have a couple minutes. Let's have an open conversation. I'm going to ask you an open-ended question that I have an opinion on.
You have an opinion.
How do you think the Nebraska staff, and specifically Matt Rhule, has handled the way in which they talk about Dylan Raiola?
Okay.
We just talked about it with a little bit with Sam.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very tricky question.
Got to be careful here.
With many landmines, potentially. And I think they know that as well. And what they do is they defer to Dylan's doing fine, Dylan's doing fine, Dylan's doing fine. But I think what they know is that Dylan misses things.
No, he's never made a mistake.
Interesting. And that it's
always the receiver's fault.
See, that is not healthy, I don't think. Like, I don't love that. I don't love that. I feel like
I'm glad you brought this up.
It's just weird.
The last
it's just weird.
I'm probably late to this, but the last 2-3 games I've been like, something ain't adding up here. Something ain't adding up.
It's just weird sometimes.
Gee, wonder why that is.
It just, yeah.
Wonder what in anyone's personal history might lead you to.
People were asking the question last week. It was like, well, if the offensive coordinator isn't fired or blah, 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 if they don't get what they want out of the offense this year, do you think Dylan transfers? That was and nobody wants to answer that question. How could I know? I don't know what's going to happen in these last 4 games. I know what's going to happen in these last 4 games, and I don't know what he wants.
Boy, a lot of coin flip games.
Exactly. And I don't know what the offense is going to be like at the end of this thing. I don't know what anyone needs to feel in order to be this, and this, whatever. But I just feel like they are too careful with the way that they talk about him. I thought the whole idea was he's going to come here and get coached, and it's going to be different, and it's going to be hard. And part of the hard part is that the payoff's going to be better at the end because he's going to know how to do this, and this, and that. I just feel like it's a little kid glovey with the way that they talk about him. I don't need them to throw him under the bus.
No.
So I don't know what the right, I don't know what the right push and pull on this is, because you don't want to throw him under the bus. I agree with that.
They know the push and pull better than I.
Right. But no, they're being very, I guess it would be pull, right? They're not doing anything. It's just like, Dylan,
nah, he's fine. He's fine. That's our guy. He's fine.
From the YouTube chant says he's doing fine, Connor. Next subject.
I would agree. He is doing fine.
He's doing fine. But I don't need them to. I don't need everybody else to get blamed except for him. Put him in with everybody else. Yeah. He's in there. It's just weird sometimes. That's all.
Guy makes a bad throw.
He makes a bad throw. We got to get better. We got to get him better at making those throws.
Even Kermit Mahomes makes a bad throw every once in a while.
So just mark this. We talked about it. All right. This is an open conversation, and we talked about it.
That's what I love about the Connor Happer show. We have the stones to address the things you're talking about at home.
Because in a month, the season's going to be over. Mm-hmm. And the regular season's going to be over. And things will happen. there will be movement in places.
People will leave, new people will come in.
Yes, and
Happens
things
every
will
season.
change or things will not change.
Totally normal.
And then
We
people
won't
will
need
come
break
back to
out
the
a wheel.
media and they'll say, "Why didn't you tell us about why didn't you talk about this?" And I will say, "Bleep you, go back to October 28th."
Segment 9.
Is that what this is? Okay, good.
Yeah, will be.
All right. That's our thoughts on this at the moment. Now we have to talk about the screen game.
The screen game.
Yeah, I have my screen log. That's
Many
just waiting
people
to
have
get out
presented different logs.
there. There are logs that are out there.
Yes.
Yes. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Hey, congratulations to Salvador Perez. You remember baseball, Josh?
Salvi. How could I forget baseball?
He
I love
is the
baseball.
Roberto Clemente Man of the Year. And I would say,
Is that the Walter Payton
basically,
equivalent? Okay.
for the type of person who is like a borderline, there's a debate about him being a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
This is an important individual award because when you're a good person, people like you. When you're a bad person, they don't let you into the Hall of Fame.
Ty Cobb, not in the Hall of Fame. Oh,
well, when people don't like you, they're less likely to put you in. That's what I'll say.
It's interesting.
That's what I'll say.
Another man on the cusp of the Hall had one of those one of those moments, one of those things that you can put on the resume. How about the first ever?
He didn't make it, did he?
How about the first ever walk-off grand slam in a World Series game?
Yeah, that guy's gonna make it. People like that guy.
That guy's
He's in.
firmly in.
He's in. People like that guy.
Yeah.
Josh writes in, but so there's okay. So quick, brief World Series recap. Walk-off grand slam, incredible.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He's Kirk Gibson.
What a game.
That was awesome. Even if that was all we get out of the whole series.
Yep.
That was probably worth it.
I'll take that and however many games of crap you want to throw on the end of it.
Just imagine if Ohtani was done for the rest of the series. What a disaster that would be for baseball.
Why are you sending him up 4-1, Dave?
You
always do this, Dave.
You have to send that guy if now he's gonna be back tonight. He's gonna play. But like if that was in question at all, you have to send him to Germany to get he has to play. He cannot not be in this World Series.
Mm-hmm.
It would be too damaging to baseball. It would be too damaging to their viewership, and it would be too damaging to the narrative.
Yes.
He would never beat the narrative
Nope.
if he missed the rest of this series, even if they won the World Series, because then they would say he won the World Series in spite of him.
That's right.
That would be too bad. It would not be good. All right. That's baseball catch up.
Good baseball.
Game 3 is tonight in the Bronx, and it's such a special occasion that Mike and the Mad Dog have reunited
They're
on
together.
High Heat right now.
They somehow have FaceTimed Mike Francesa into the show.
And he's awake
and
alert and seemingly not drinking a Diet Coke. It's 2:30 on the East Coast, Josh.
It's off camera, my Diet Cokes. It was a great idea I had to FaceTime my good friend.
I love the New York media. I love Mike and the Mad Dog, personally. Josh tweets into the show.
Hi, Josh.
No relation.
Okay.
Any chance we can hear Josh Oddson's motivational hype speech again from Friday? I've been hearing this request. I can't afford to give 3 minutes of the show away.
Yeah, we're running downhill here at the end of the show.
So I wish that we could put this on double speed.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I told listeners on Friday, and I didn't have the time to do it because I was busy. We should just isolate that and put it on the internet.
So
just isolate it and put it on the internet.
I was in a car driving to Garden City,
and you were trying
on
to figure
Friday,
out how.
and I'm like, oh my God, we have this great piece of content that I cannot repurpose.
Yeah.
Because by the time I can repurpose it, it's old. It's
Just
old
put
news.
it just put it out there
Yeah.
now. Do we have a SoundCloud anymore? Or
No, I mean I can put it on our podcast page.
Yeah, just put it on the
just the file. I have
the
file.
podcast or just do the
YouTube clip?
YouTube cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Kenneth says just go back to Friday's show on the YouTube. It's at the 3 hour and 32 minute mark.
Yeah.
Kenneth's already looked it up. Amazing Daniel writes in, if only you had some sort of access to audio related technology. I know.
I was in a car.
No. Yeah. Well, phones definitely don't work. We
I
could
get a
we
headache.
could have done that.
I get a headache.
We could have definitely done that. Oh, look, a question that I definitely didn't cherry pick from the text line.
Oh, good. A genuine question.
Pedro.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. Connor, what do you think of this new Creighton Blue Jays team? I have to admit, I don't know the names of half the team. Please, Connor, I hope you have the pull to get the t-shirt cannon loaded to shoot that thing up to the cheap seats. Basketball emoji, basketball emoji, basketball emoji.
Basketball.
I now have very close access to the giant t-shirt Gatling gun at the Creighton basketball games.
Hello.
Yes, this is new this year. I am now working a little bit more closely with the marketing team. I don't know if it's hard to get that thing out on the floor. They do such a great job and, pull that thing out there. It's big, strong men, sometimes big, strong women. They pull it out there. But yes, they've let me too close to the t-shirt cannon. Don't worry. At some point, I'll get that thing shooting up there.
So our take before the game was, gosh, I don't know where the scoring's going to come from. And it seems like everyone's take after the game was, I feel sorry for Coach. He's only going to be able to put 5 of those players on the floor at the same time.
Whose take was it that we didn't know where the scoring was going to come from?
That was our take.
We didn't know I didn't know where the defense was going to come from.
Defense.
The offense is
Okay.
there.
I had mistaken our takes.
The offense, yeah. Get your takes, get your pre-takes straight,
Sorry.
Josh. The offense is going to be there. The offense is going to be good. I don't know what the defense is going to be doing. Like Carson Smith goes off for whatever he did, or I'm sorry, Braden Smith, Carson Smith.
We're still learning.
Braden Smith for Purdue went off for whatever he went off for on Friday. And then they played the guy for Iowa State in the secret scrimmage, and he went off for 35. Like, they're going to have a tough time guard stopping.
Okay. Hello.
But they might score 90 points a game.
I would like that.
Because if Pop Isaacs is really shooting at that kind of clip, like, watch out. They're going to score. They're going to score. Like, Ashworth's going to shoot 40%. Like, if Pop can be like a 30 to 32 to 35% guy, they are cooking. And then they also have the fallback option of Kalkbrenner, and like Trout can shoot it, and Jason Green's doing some dirty work down there. Mason Miller's just getting back. Like, he's not even healthy yet. They're going to be fine. Definitely fine on offense. Curious to see how it comes together rotation-wise, and then obviously on the defensive side outside of the interior. Like, so I had a brief lapse in judgment and thought about Nebraska and Creighton already this morning on my way here. I don't know why. Because I was thinking about basketball. And so Nebraska seems to be a little big and slow. You know? And you can be big and slow.
Yeah, it's a Big Ten.
You can be big and slow. But it's not going to work probably against the team up the road, because they have the big and slow stopper of all big and slow stoppers, and that would be
the tree man.
The tree man. Yeah. So you're going to need some guard to go and shoot like, and make like 7 threes or something like that. And that could happen. Nebraska strikes me as a team this year who's going to be quite streaky from the outside. So maybe you get the right streak. Maybe it's like a green streak instead of a brown streak or whatever.
Brown streak.
I think Nebraska's fine. That was clunky on Saturday or Sunday yesterday. And they got some, like, they are what they are. I think that'll be a fine team. And then we got the Nebraska women last night. It was fun.
I heard they're great.
That's what Random Mike is saying.
That's the one take I've heard.
Here's my take. Allison Widener had not played a basketball game in 676 days.
Oh my.
And she's like the heart and soul, like heartbeat kind of person, Like,
I saw a graphic with her on it. She's a preseason something or other.
It was very hard for her the last 2 years.
Sure.
Making it all the way back and then again during her other ACL. Like, that stunk. And so she's a heartbeat type of person. And once she's back fully in game speed, they're going to be pretty good too. 23rd rank going into the year.
Lauren Jensen named to the Naismith Player of the Year preseason watch list over
Bang!
On the blue side.
Look at our local basketball teams. How about that?
It's all happening for us.
Jeff writes in. He has a complaint.
Oh, no.
Exhibition game. Creighton is amazing and Nebraska stinks. Couldn't have guessed that. Now, what made you think that I said that? I said I think Creighton is pretty good and I think Nebraska is fine. What, is it such a crime to say I think Creighton is better than Nebraska right now? Is it such a crime? Am I so blue-eyed that it's impossible for me to see that
Connor,
that any speck of reality?
No.
It's impossible to think that the team who goes to the Sweet 16 every year and has maybe the National Player of the Year on their roster is better than the other team.
Connor,
is it possible?
If you fired up your Big Ten Plus, you would have seen that Nebraska beat Grand Valley State by 20 points.
Yeah, but yes. Yeah. No buts. No buts. They did.
That is a thing that happened.
They did. They did.
I've heard through channels that Grand Valley State could give Purdue a game if the two played each other.
Really?
On a neutral floor, of course.
Who told you this? Did you look at D2 KenPom?
I got people.
D2 KenPom.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a
Cost
D2
me $15 a month.
Dave, right? Saying on YouTube.
Hi, Dave.
The real crime is talking about college basketball in October.
Thank you, Dave.
Josh, you're the producer of this show. Just steer me back in the right direction.
It's 1:35. I can't control you.
Now, Josh,
I'm tired.
I have something interesting for you on your previous point.
Oh.
You know who plays each other this week?
No, I don't have my November basketball schedules memorized.
Well, get ready, because you ready for the narrative of the century?
Narrative of the century?
Yeah.
Oh.
Grand Valley State and Purdue this Wednesday.
You're bleeping kidding me.
I'm serious. It's a real game. So watch fire up your BTN Plus, and then you tell me who's better, red or blue, right after these two teams play each other. Do your math equations, get your chem bombs out, do your Bart Torviks. Grand Valley State and Purdue coming up Wednesday from Mackey Arena.
Oh my God, there it is. It is on Big Ten Plus.
Of course it's on BTN Plus. Some child will be bringing you the broadcast.
Why do they get 2 exhibition games?
That's a real game.
It says exhibition game in the corner.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. Purdue.
Whose
Sports-
website are you on?
PurdueSports.com.
I'm on PurdueSports.com. It doesn't say that online. Oh, exhibition game. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an exhibition game.
Perfect. Same set of circumstances.
That's right. Okay. All right. So that's the game of the century for narratives.
Wow.
For basketball. Already.
This is huge.
Then we'll find out once and for all who's better. Creighton or Nebraska. All right. That's basketball talk. Look, there's 4 more hours of football coming up after this. We got the polls, and we'll tell you what to watch coming up on the other side. Oh, we also haven't played our new Jameis Winston drops.
We have not.
Disappointing. Maybe we'll have time for that on the other side. With the polls, and we'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. We do have poll questions, which I'd like to get to in a moment. But, Josh, I feel as if we are the most ardent Jameis Winston supporters on this here radio station.
I don't.
Supporters is a strong word, I guess, but
we find the man's story arc funny as a professional.
You speak for yourself. I personally love him. I really do. I think he's hilarious. I think he is hilarious.
Yes.
I think he's hilarious.
I'm there with you.
And I support him. I do. He stepped into a tough situation. He's the guy who steps into tough situations now.
I'm less with you.
All right.
On that one.
That's fine. Let's go to the before the game is the first link I have, Josh. This is from before the game. And
okay, this would be okay.
Before the game, Jameis Winston is ready to step in and play the Baltimore Ravens. Here's his interview with CBS Sports.
Oh, wait. I confused myself.
The first
okay, I got it.
The top link. Okay, go.
I'm not ready.
Thank you.
You can tell you're taking it all in right now. You're about to make your first start since 2022. Ken Dorsey said that he's been preaching to you to play smart but not conservative. What do you expect from yourself?
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it.
You're looking really focused right now.
There's a deadpan look to the camera as if he were Jim Halpert in the office. That man, I got to talk quarterback. Okay, I'm just going to say some BS.
Keep going, Jameis. Keep going.
Told us this week that everyone inside this building believes that this is the time you guys can turn it around. What's been the message?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, depending on the Lord. That's all we got.
You told me no nerves, just excitement and butterflies. Still feel that way?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependence on the Lord.
The message is clear, guys. Thank you, Jameis.
Thank you. What an interview. One of the best I've ever heard. That man knew what he was going to say months ago. Yeah. Months ago.
If I ever get the start in Cleveland, I know exactly what I'll say.
So I don't think we have all the time for interview number 2.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's many minutes long.
It's 1:25.
Maybe we do have time. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I promise. I'm ready.
All right. Post game, after Cleveland gets the job done against Baltimore, here's Jameis Winston with the same. I forget her name. The sideline reporter for CBS Sports. But here is Jameis post game.
Jameis Winston making your first start since 2022. The word you used before the game was unwavering. How do you describe this victory?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, depending on the Lord. And depending on the Lord should have been first. He gets all the glory. Thank you, right. Jesus. Thank you for this win.
Talk to me about your team and the way they showed up today, coming off 5 consecutive losses. No one would have blamed you guys if you gave up. How did your guys show up this week in practice to get it done today against the Baltimore Ravens?
One play at a time. We fought. We gave everything that we could possibly give. Thank you for the offensive line. Thank you for the defensive line of winning the trenches. And thank you for the Browns fans for coming up and standing up and helping us get a victory here at home.
It's not often that you get another opportunity like you have just received in the NFL. What does it mean to lead these guys and what could be the start of what you said is something special moving forward?
Man, it's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity lasts once in a lifetime. And I know I got a quote, Eminem, he from Detroit, he right up the road, but man, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that the Lord provided me with this opportunity. I'm grateful for my teammates, my coaches, and these amazing fans.
Thank you, Jameis. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do. Thank the Lord.
Many would say this is Jameis's 3rd or 4th shot not to blow.
Thank the Lord for Jameis Winston.
Unwavering faith.
What? Unwavering faith. Something belief. Something about God. We have to that has to be on the marquee for the show from now on. Thank you to Jameis Winston, who I hope has a spot in this league forever and always. To the polls. Can you walk and rap? Yes. Much like Ice Cube. Yes. 56% say no.
Doesn't seem that hard.
Does the AP sound like Mickey Mouse?
100%.
Yeah, did. 66% say yes. They probably were confused. Do you feel better?
Most voted on poll question of the day.
One of our more well-timed poll questions of all time. Do you feel better now that we didn't include this part, now that the Big Ten has released a statement about how they were wrong about calls? No. Definitively no.
I feel actually like 2% worse.
76% say no. And is Francois McGillicuddy his real name? Almost certainly we've run that poll question before. It is. 51% say no.
Wow. Vote early, vote often.
Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We are watching a lot of things because, Connor, today is the 31st sports equinox.
31st?
Yes.
Ever?
Ever.
What? Wow, really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. The World Series Game 3 tonight. Dodgers lead 2-0. 7 o'clock on Big Fox. Walker Buehler versus something called Clark Schmidt is your pitching matchup.
Hey!
I don't know the man.
You don't know ball.
I'm a National League guy. Anthem performer tonight, Leslie Odom. There's now something called an on-field performer, which is, I assume, what Ice Cube did.
I guess so.
Who's
that going to be?
New York will see your Ice Cube and raise
Frank
you.
Sinatra's back?
Fat Joe.
Fat Joe,
Who's no
not
longer fat. Yeah.
anymore.
I
Cool.
don't know who's throwing out the first pitch. I haven't been able to find that. Salvi will be
Gotta
honored.
be
Rudy Giuliani.
No, it's got to be like Tino Martinez or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, or
yeah,
like Paul O'Neill.
One of the 90s.
Yeah, Andy Pettit.
The core four.
Yeah. They get one of those. Bernie Williams.
Yeah.
I bet.
Good,
I'll find
Good pull by you. Salvi honor before the game with the Roberto Clemente Award. Monday Night Football here on 1620 The Zone. It's also on ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC at 7:15. Giants at the Steelers. Your Manning cast is Bill Belichick, Lawrence Taylor, LL Cool J, and Bill Cowher. There's a collection of people. NBA on NBA TV tonight, doubleheader. Celtics host the Bucks at 6:30, followed by the Lakers at the Suns. NHL on Hulu. 6:30 puck drop for the Lightning as they host the Predators. And finally, Connor, on Nickelodeon tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I can already tell you this is a no for me.
Nick News, Kids Pick the President.
Great.
This special highlights young people's perspective on the presidential election, hosted by Nate Burleson, Sports Connection, and his daughter, Mia.
If you're a kid learning about elections and politics right now, your brain is ruined already.
Yeah. Maybe you just skip that, kids.
Josh,
Connor.
Major League Baseball has just seconds ago tweeted the ceremonial first pitch for tonight's World Series Game 3 at Yankee Stadium. You get one guess, and if you don't get it, then it's okay. But you're gonna get it.
Jeter.
That's right.
Oh, yes!
Derek Jeter will throw out the first pitch tonight.
Oh, there was so much pressure. I wanted to get it right.
All right, that's it. That's what we're watching tonight. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
If you missed anything, you can find it all on our website, 1620thezone.com. The crossover is next.